What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 586 of #AskGSM here today for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Graham GSM Matthews here, coming off what I thought was a very good Raw last night. We got a lot of questions coming in from X, YouTube, Facebook. We're going to get into all of them. But, of course, if you are joining live, be sure to send in a question in the chat. I'll answer it live here on the air. If you haven't already, I'm sure you already have. Be sure to like the video. I would appreciate that. But also subscribe to the channel. I say it every single week, but hit the bell button to be notified every single time we upload a new video and every single time we go live here on the channel. Typically Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Today we're answering your questions from across social media. I will say this as we get going here today. Tomorrow here on the channel, as we usually do, #GSM for GM, WWE 2K24, my GM game mode gameplay. I don't know why I messed that up. So that's coming up tomorrow. But I will mention this as well right out of the gate. I was going to save this for a little bit later on. Tomorrow here on the channel, you're going to want to hit that bell button to be notified every time we upload a new video, because tomorrow we're putting up my interview with LFG host. The other day was Bubba Ray Dudley, which I thought was a fine chat. Tomorrow it's even better. We got WWE Hall of Famer The Undertaker coming back here to WrestleRant for the first time in 3 years to talk all about LFG, his career, coming close to coming out of retirement, what his go-to video game choice is, his hatred for the internet, and a whole lot more. We recorded the chat about a week ago before the LFG premiere on Sunday, and it was a lot of fun, almost 20 minutes of a conversation with the dead man himself. So be sure to hit that bell button to be notified when that interview goes up live here on the channel, I believe tomorrow morning, like first thing Wednesday morning, and the article to go along with it over on Bleacher Report. So keep an eye out for that. We got a bunch of people in the chat. Not sure if you're all still here, but we had Daniel Malcolm chatting in earlier. Great to see you, my man. Fernando also joining us, saying, "What's up, everyone? Raw was fire last night." I agree. Very fun show. Nick was here, is here. Great to see Nick here as well. Nick will be seeing you this week and looking forward to that. Average Grunt also joining us saying, yo, yo, yo. Grunt, hope you're doing well, my man. Great to see you. Millennial Noob also joining us saying good morning. Millennial Noob, good morning to you as well. Daniel Malcolm is here saying, Mean Mark, fire mode. Yeah, it's Mean Mark. It's not The Undertaker. It's not Mark Calloway. It is Mean Mark from the indie days, from the WCW days. He's joining us on WrestleRant tomorrow. And it's a video interview, too, so you can see our back and forth. It's not just audio. I spoke to Taker twice in 2022, once for that biography show that they were doing on A&E, that they still do, I believe, but they did one on him about 3 years ago. We talked for that. And then before that, we spoke for his WWE Hall of Fame induction. And he was amazing. He was always one of those guys I wanted to talk to, and he was way better than I could have ever expected. The Bubba Ray Dudley one I wasn't overly thrilled with. It kind of seemed like he didn't really want to be talking that day for whatever reason. I don't know if that's just how he is, but Taker was great. So you guys are going to see that chat tomorrow here on the channel, so keep an eye out for that. Me and The Undertaker chopping it up about future legends, his career, video game choice, like I said, coming at the very end of that interview, his hatred for the internet, and so much more. Abu Sika also joining us saying, greetings, GSM. Abu Sika, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Richie, always a pleasure to see you in the chat. Richie does his own channel. I mentioned this before. He does his own content as well. Check him out on YouTube. He does recaps of the week in WWE and wrestling and a lot of other great stuff as well. So check out Richie's content. Just click on his name in the chat. It'll take you right to his channel, I believe. And he said, good morning, chat. Good morning, Graham. We are so back. I'll get to your next chat in a second, Richie. But your second one said, ready for a 5-hour stream? Hey, we'll see. I will say this. If you guys missed it, on Saturday, I was kind of already, live talking SmackDown, and then we barely talked about SmackDown, and I just kind of got busy with the chat. We had a lot of people joining us, and it was a lot of fun, and those, actually including Richie, actually, he was in the chat, among other people, Alexis as well, kind of chatting in and saying we should do a watch-along for Vengeance Day, and I said, well, listen, if we get 15 likes, which we probably won't, I'll stay live for Vengeance Day, and we'll do a watch-along for that. We haven't done a watch-along on the channel in a very long time, specifically for a live wrestling show. I don't think I had ever done a live watch-along before. We've done watch-alongs for like past shows, movies, and stuff like that, but never a live show, and we actually ended up doing it. We reached the goal, and we went live for Vengeance Day. And then I checked, in comparison to my other watch streams, my other watch-alongs that we've done on the channel, and it was the longest watch-along we've ever done. I did a whole bunch in 2020 at the beginning of COVID for, like, WrestleMania 21, WrestleMania 31. We did one for whole bunch of shows. Like I watched Lilo and Stitch. We did one. We watched back RJ and I Double or Nothing 2019. We did a watch along for that. But I think the one that we did the other day was the longest one we had ever done on the channel. So record broke, and go back and check that out if you haven't already. Johnny also joining us. Johnny, great to see you in the chat, my man. Hope you're doing well. He said, can Owens versus Sammy unsanctioned match be better than Triple H versus Shawn Michaels one? Ooh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that... I'll get to that in a second, Daniel. I don't think it's going to be better. That match from SummerSlam OT from SummerSlam 02 is a fucking instant classic. So I don't know if it's going to be better than that one necessarily, but it could be as good. I mean, Owens and Zayn always bring the best out of each other. They always have great matches. The story's there. They're going to be in Canada, no less, as well. So that crowd's going to be hot for that match. If they can go in there and just beat the shit out of each other and not just have a standard street fight, I think that could absolutely live up to that level, if not exceed it. But I don't want to go that far because Triple H and Shawn, I almost said Taker. Triple H and Shawn from SummerSlam 02 was one of my favorite matches, one of my favorite shows as well. SummerSlam 02 was one of the GOAT WWE pay-per-views. Grun said, I thought Undertaker didn't like video games. Hope he wasn't playing in the locker room. Well, I mean, I'll say this out of the gate. He doesn't play video games. He doesn't like video games. But I will say this. I asked him, we were talking about the internet, and he goes, it's not really for me. And he went on like a 3-minute tangent about it, which was really funny. And then at the very end, spoiler alert, he goes, I'll just stick to video games. I go, oh, you play video games? He goes, no, I don't play video games either. Like he was just kidding. And I said, well, I think I forgot exactly what the exchange was. And I said, well, what's your video game of choice? He goes, oh, if I play any game, it's Madden. So he's a Madden fan. But beyond that, he's not much of a gamer. He's not really one for technology. Let's put it that way. Richie said one-on-one with The Undertaker. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Richie said that earlier. We are going to be one-on-one with the dead man himself tomorrow here on the channel. I guess that's probably the best way to put it, and the best Teddy Long voice I could potentially put on. I won't attempt to imitate Teddy Long. No one can do it better than Teddy himself, but we will be one-on-one with The Undertaker here tomorrow on the channel. Abu Sika said, Bubba's already annoying me on LFG. I'll tell you this right now. I talked to Bubba, and I've always been a big Dudley Boys fan, really for the last 10, 15 years. Like, I didn't grow up on the Dudley Boys, but when they came back to WWE, I liked their TNA work, but when they came back to WWE, I was really excited. I've met Bubba a couple times in person. The first time he was fine. The second time he was cool, but I also dressed up as him the second time when I met him because I went as him for Halloween. So, of course, when you're, praising these people and dressing up as these people, it was a Comic-Con appearance. It wasn't like I was interviewing him or something like that. And when you're kind of like sucking up to these people, so to speak, I mean, that's not exactly what I was doing, but he was a lot nicer. But then when I was talking to him last week, he was fine. Like, I thought the interview was good, but it just kind of seemed like, not that he was annoyed with me, I don't know. I just got a weird vibe. I was intimidated from the get-go. Maybe he could kind of sense that, I'm not sure. Didn't really seem like he was having a good time. So, and then what I was also going to say was I had watched that clip of him on the show talking to Sexy BJ Ray after I interviewed him. So I probably would have brought that up because I thought the whole respect thing, which we did talk about in the interview, the full article's up on WrestleRant.com, cheap plug. But I probably would have brought that up because the whole, like, I'm not going to shake your hand until you earn it is fucking stupid to me. That whole thing was just dumb. So I'll just say that much, and I probably would have brought that up. And he also said on Busted Open Radio, which I also did not see, or at least he did not say until after we spoke, that Blair Davenport's release, it may have been factored in due to the fact that she was at one point with Will Ospreay. And he said, you don't know how WWE works. They can just be petty like that. And I'm thinking, brother, they have not been together for a very long time. One does not have to do with the other. They probably just had no plans for her. Why would they call her up in the first place? Just to embarrass her? That's maybe something Vince McMahon would have done. Triple H, I'm not saying he's not petty, but, to fire Blair Davenport because she was with Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay made those comments about Triple H or WWE about a year ago. Come the fuck on. That was just one of the dumbest things I had seen all week, and I had seen a lot of dumb things on social media last week. Richie said, appreciate you, brother. No, appreciate you, Richie. Daniel Malcolm said, your reaction to Eddie Thorpe winning was still hilarious. Yeah, I mean, Daniel brought it up in the comments of that video. I was shocked. I mean, if you guys were watching with me, I was watching the match. It was a good strap match. And then Eddie Thorpe won out of nowhere. I'm like, the fuck? Like, did I miss something? I thought the match would be restarted. It never happened. So, yeah, I was very much shocked by that. Richie said, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam 02 is one of my top matches of all time. Just an amazing match. And one of my top shows of all time as well. Great feud. Richie said, I'm down to see Kevin and Sammy beat the brakes off of each other. I agree. That match is going to be great. I think if they can really go in there and let loose, that match could be amazing. Yes, Abu Sika, I was like, WTF. That was basically my reaction. If you go back to the watch along, go to the comment section. Daniel left a comment of the exact timestamp of where I reacted Eddie Thorpe beating Trick Williams. It's like 2 hours and 50 minutes in. I was like, what the fuck was this? I mean, that was kind of like, nothing against Eddie Thorpe. I was just kind of surprised that happened. Richie also said that Eddie Thorpe victory sucked all the air out of the arena. Yeah, no, I agree. That was just very fucking random. Daniel said, I can only imagine, Richie. Richie, were you at the show? I know you had asked me. I think you were at the show, were you not? I forgot. I'm pretty sure. I thought you were at the show because I know you had asked me if I was going. But yeah, I'm sure it did suck the energy out of the arena just because, it was just such a random moment. Daniel said, I can only imagine, or he also said, my buddies met the Dudleys at WrestleCon during Rumble weekend. Bubba screamed at one of them, LOL. Yeah, that's not surprising. Devon I've met before. He's very nice. Let me know what they said to Bubba, or what Bubba said. Yeah, what they said to Bubba to have warned him screaming back at that person. I would love to know. Usika said, Vinci's burial / firing shows that they can still be petty. Yeah, no, I agree. The Vinci one was especially petty. We still don't know what happened there. Maybe he was notoriously late for work all the time, and they just fired him for that reason. We just don't know what the reason was behind why they got rid of Vinci. But to break him off from Imperium, and just him and not Kaiser, to break him off from Imperium, have him disappear from the show for a little while, and then push him via vignettes for a couple of weeks, lose in his first match back in like fucking 5 seconds, lose again in the rematch and then disappear. That was a concerted effort to bury the man, and you cannot convince me otherwise. So yes, I think that was definitely intentional and probably petty on purpose. Johnny said, I'm going to rewatch their ladder war from Ring of Honor. I think I have seen that match before. I wasn't watching Ring of Honor when Owens and Zayn, or El Generico rather. I've heard they're two different people. I believe I watched that match before, like a couple of years ago, because I didn't start watching Ring of Honor like full time until like 2014, 2015. So that was before my Ring of Honor watching. But from what I can recall, it was a great match. And I think that was Generico's swan song as well. I think he signed with NXT like at that point or soon after. So, yeah, definitely rewatch that match. Richie said, Bubba is walking New York stereotype. He always came off as fake to me. Either that or he just knows how to get a rise out of people by acting like that. I think it's a bit of both. If you listen to our interview from the other day, he is very complimentary of himself. He calls himself the Hannibal Lecter of pro wrestling, and that he can kind of predict your every move and get any reaction out of you that he wants. And I'm like, all right, Bully, you are a great heel. You are a great heel, but let's not fucking, don't break your arm patting yourself on the back. Let's put it that way. Average Grunt said, met Team 3D in 2009 when they were in TNA during a house show. Tripped getting into the ring. Devon was really cool. Bubba was indifferent. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the vibe I've always gotten from them. That sucks that you tripped getting into the ring, though. Richie said, I was not at the show, LOL. I think Wifey would have gotten mad if I had taken her to a wrestling show for Valentine's Day, LOL. Yeah, it was the day after. Yeah, that would have been, I don't think she would have been happy about that. She probably would have been pissed that Eddie Thorpe won as well. He also said that ending was just so flat that you could hear a pin drop. It just came out of nowhere. Daniel said it was their turn to meet the Dudleys, but Bubba, I think, was talking to someone, so when they walked up to Bubba, he was like, hold on, and wagged his finger or some shit like that. Yeah, dude, that sounds like something he would do. It's just, he's an interesting dude, and I like the Dudley boys, but it's like, and again, he was nice to me, and he was kind of like, actually, you know what, I'll tell you this story real quick. Thank you, Mike. He said, I appreciate it, or I enjoyed your interview with Bubba. I appreciate that, Micah. But I will tell you this story real quick. The second time I met him, the first time I met him, 2014, it was when he was still Bully Ray, right before he made that Rumble cameo in 2015 for WWE. I met him at an indie show, and like, he was completely indifferent. I think it wasn't until I said I enjoyed his interview with Jim Ross, which they had done right around that point, that he kind of perked up and was like, oh, thanks. Before that, he didn't really give a fuck. The second time I met him, that was after the WWE run, which I really enjoyed. I'm probably one of 5 people who did. And I dressed up as Bubba Ray Dudley when I met him at Comic-Con in Rhode Island back in 2021. And he was really cool at that point, probably because I was the only person who have dressed up him as that day. I had a piece of a table with me. It was like a whole costume that we had done for Halloween a couple of weeks earlier, so I thought I would carry that costume with me or wear it to Comic-Con a couple of weeks later. So, like, we're taking the picture, and I have a picture with them that I've shared on social media before of me, Alexis, and Bubba. Like, we're all meeting him at the same time. Like, we're both meeting him at the same time. We get the picture, and I have the Dudley Boy glasses, which WWE Shop was selling during their last run with the company from 2015 to 2016. I bought them for a couple bucks in WWE Shop in like early 2016. So I have the glasses, but they have lenses in them. I mean, they're not actual glasses, like they're not fucking prescription glasses. Like they're just plastic glasses with plastic lenses, like cheap glasses. They were like $5 on WWE Shop. While we're taking the picture, he sees me wearing the glasses, because I think I put them on during the picture, and he takes them off my head, and he goes, oh, these aren't accurate, and he starts popping out the lenses. And I was like, no. I thought he was going to break the glasses, because I know they're broken in real life and they have the tape over them. They were already fake broken. They weren't broken glasses, but they did have the tape in the middle to kind of mimic the Dudley Boy's glasses. But they still had the lenses in them. That's how they came. And yeah, they're not technically... In real life, Bubba would wear the glasses without the lenses. I get that. But he didn't even ask. He took the fucking glasses off my head and popped out the lenses. And you could probably put them right back in. I think I saved the glasses and the lenses, so if I wanted to put them back in, I could. I never did. But I'm thinking, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, I even said, like, no, please don't do that. Like, at least ask first. He just fucking immediately pumped them out. I'm like, dude, come on. Really? Did you have to do that? He was cool otherwise, but I thought it's like that bully mentality where he kind of feels like he's in control of you. He said that in our interview, and I'm like, okay, now that kind of makes sense in retrospect. I know this has turned into a Bubba Ray Dudley Q&A to open the show. We'll get into some questions in a couple minutes. Richie said, do you think we see Retribution 2 Electric Boogaloo again on NXT tonight? I definitely do. I think we will absolutely see them on NXT tonight. Abusika said, Bubba talks like he's Brock Lesnar or something in terms of legit badass. I don't know. He definitely is a badass, but like he's not Brock Lesnar. Brock would fucking murder him in 2 seconds. It's just, he has that intimidation factor about him. I know he definitely is a tough guy, but I think he portrays that he's a tougher guy than he actually is by putting on this like persona, if that makes sense, especially if he can kind of sense that you're not as big or as tough as he is. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, so obviously he's going to take advantage of that. I'm probably just looking too much into it. Richie said, well, he is a professional psychologist and poker player, Graham. Yeah, exactly. That's what he said in that fucking LFG clip. He goes, I'm a professional psychologist and poker player. Like, dude, like, get over yourself. I thought that was stupid. Micah said, I also enjoyed the new Captain America movie. Whoever said the movie sucked, I don't know what they were talking about. I enjoyed the movie. I talked about it in that short clip that I put up here on the channel, the WrestleRant Reacts clip on Saturday night after the watch-along. It was a quick, like, 2-minute review of the movie, but I enjoyed Brave New World. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars over on Letterboxd, and, you know, it wasn't, like, amazing or must-see, but I enjoyed it for what it was, and people saying it sucked, like, dude, did you see, like, Quantumania, even that I enjoyed, but I thought this was better than that. The Marvels was really not that good at all. This was better than that. This was better than Eternals. For anyone to say that, you know, this is better than those movies are, or that this was worse, than those movies are, and I'm sure Nick in the chat has his own opinions on the movie as well, because I know he enjoyed it too. We'll talk about it when I see you this weekend, Nick, but I don't know, I think those were just overblown. People just freaking out about, people freaking out about the MCU is dead. It's like, it's so stupid to me. Like, Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, love the movie. People are like, the MCU is back. Like, did it ever really go away? Like, I mean, I know the movie quality is dipped. I won't deny that. But, like, they'll say the MCU is back. And then a movie like this comes out, the MCU is dead. Oh, my God. Fucking either A, pick a side, or B, don't over-exaggerate. Not everything has to be the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever. That's my bottom line for movies like that. Sometimes movies can be just in the middle. It was the weakest of all the Captain America movies. The initial 3 I thought were better. But this was still very good, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Average Grunt said a little bit earlier on, so mad at myself for not picking up a pair while they were available. The Dudley Boy glasses? Yeah, WWE Shop. I mean, you could probably find them on, like, Etsy, or not Etsy, but eBay maybe. I literally saw them on Shop. Like, that was back when I was buying shit all the time, and I got it on a deal. They were like $3. I'm like, I like the Dudleys, why not? I already have the shirt, let's get the glasses. Makes sense, can use it for a future Halloween costume, which I did in 2021. Ahmed joining us in the chat saying, what's up, Graham? Ahmed, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us, my man. Always great to see you. Richie said, the fact that he thought it was okay to touch you or touch something on you without asking, yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely strange. Daniel said, can't wait to watch the Bubba interview, LOL. Yeah, so it's already up. It came out on here on the channel the other day, so you can check it out. I put it up on Sunday. So the Bubba interview was on. We're talking a lot about Bubba here. I promise you we'll move on. The Taker interview I liked a lot more. He was fucking cool. Say what you will about the guy, but he's very personable. Bully, I got the exact opposite vibe from. So I'm glad the Bubba interview was first and the Taker interview was second because I recorded them in the same day. The Taker one was great. So that'll be out tomorrow here on the channel early on. And the day on Wednesday. Johnny said, should a heel have won the women's IC title? No, because Chelsea Green won the Women's United States Championship, and if it wasn't Lyra, I would have put it on Dakota Kai, and she's a babyface too, so no, I'm glad they went with a babyface, but the booking of said women's tag team, or women's mid-card belts, which we'll get to here on the show today, has certainly not been ideal. Let's put it that way. Ahmed said, does Ricky Starks have a name in WWE? Why aren't they saying his name? I mean, initially, I don't think they said his name on NXT last week because the deal came together so quickly. This is just my assumption. And other people have said this, so I'm not like alone in thinking this. I thought I was alone in thinking this a week ago, but then other people ended up saying it too, so I think I ended up being accurate. But because the deal came together so quickly that they probably didn't even work out the legalities of like him using the Ricky Starks name. But if Ethan Page could be Ethan Page and Shawn Spears can be Shawn Spears, why can't Ricky Starks be Ricky Starks? Unless he doesn't want to be Ricky Starks in WWE, which would just be stupid. He's built up that name through the Indies, through the NWA, AEW. Why would he not want to be Ricky Starks? So I think it came together so quickly that they didn't have time to work all that out, sign the paperwork and whatnot. And then by Saturday, they still did not have him call him Ricky Starks because they want that big pop when they announce him as Ricky Starks, probably during the contract signing on tonight's show. That's probably what's going to happen. Unless they give him one of the 10 awful names that they apparently trademarked last week that we ran off on WrestleRant Radio last Thursday. Good God, if they give him any of those names, then we are fucked. Those names were awful. Hopefully, and I think he will, stay Ricky Starks in WWE, though. Grunt said, did tag team wrestling in WWE peak with Owens and Zayn versus the Usos at WrestleMania 39? Do you think the titles will ever feel as important again? I do think the tag team division peaked at 39 because it main evented the show. It was an amazing story, an amazing 5-star match, which someone actually asked me about. I think it was Micah, actually, about the Night 1 main events. If I ranked the WrestleMania Night 1 main events, where would that one rank? I'll talk about that very briefly, or very shortly, actually, in a little bit. But yeah, the division was on fire back at that point. They had a lot of great teams. Didn't really follow up properly, but I did think Owens and Zayn had a good run as WWE Tag Team Champions. And yeah, I think they can get back to that point. I mean, the tag team division in particular, they've never really been consistently booked over the course of their existence, at least not since like the 80s or 90s. But there have been high points and there have been low points. So I think it is possible for the belts to get back to that point. It just probably won't be for a very long time. Like, I don't see the tag titles headlining a WrestleMania at any point in the next couple of years. Again. They could. It's definitely possible. But I'm not banking on it. Let's call it that way. Let's just put it that way. Nick said, Bubba sounds like an idiot, LOL. Yeah, it was certainly the interaction. It was certainly quite the interaction. Abusika said, someone in a Discord I'm in called Bubba a glorified theater kid, and I could not stop laughing. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds pretty accurate. Ahmed said, let's back up a little bit here. Sadly, it's the mentality of today's society. It's the best ever or worst ever. Exactly. But that's how the internet is. It's very reactionary. The movie's either the best thing ever, it's a great movie, it's amazing, it's fucking the best, it's cinema, as we wrestling fans say about booking sometimes in certain matches, or it's fucking terrible. Wrestling is the exact same way. Like, that show was awful or that show was great. Like, I thought Vengeance Day was a good show, but I saw people talking about it like, oh my God, this show is phenomenal. Was it really, though? I thought Vengeance Day was good. I actually enjoyed Grand Slam significantly more than I did Vengeance Day, but that's just me. Micah says, I think I might buy a Red Hulk figure from Target priced at $40. Do you think it will be worth money in 10 years? LOL. Yeah, I mean, it might be. I thought Red Hulk in the movie looked great. I won't give away any spoilers for those that haven't seen the movie, but I thought it looked great. Micah, by the way, said on the stream on Saturday, yesterday was his birthday, on Monday. So Micah's birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, Micah. Again, we said it in the chat. Everyone in the chat, be sure to wish Micah a happy belated birthday. His birthday was yesterday, like I said. I think he went to go see the movie on his birthday, so not a bad way to spend a birthday. Johnny said, good thing critics don't influence us to watch or skip matches. We don't. Yeah, correct. We don't, but, when I say we, I'm talking about like us, like talking right here. I'm sure there are people that will not watch certain promotions or matches or shows, having heard from the internet, maybe even Meltzer, oh, that one's not worth your time. This show's not worth your time. It might not be worth my time, but that doesn't mean that you should, I might recommend to you guys, all right, go see this or don't see this, but you still have to see it for yourself to kind of judge for yourself. No one's opinion is gospel, especially not Dave Meltzer. But yeah, movies are definitely more like that. Oh, if I hear it's awful. Well, the thing is, the difference there is with movies and stuff, you're paying to drive there, buy the ticket, so it's a little bit different. You're investing more into go see this movie as opposed to just checking out a match, which might be just wasting your time, but you're not wasting any money. Unless you're buying a pay-per-view, that's a little bit different, I guess. Nick said, the internet loves to hate Marvel. They want movies that were on the same level as Avengers. Cap was a good lead for the coming Marvel movies. I completely agree. I think they did a good job of tying in a lot of different things, and I said this the other day, but they tie in stuff from the fucking Eternals. They tie in stuff from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. They tie in stuff from the Incredible Hulk. Like a lot of the characters that are in this movie come from that, and you have to watch that movie. I know people don't always love, I don't want to have to watch a movie before going to see this other one. That's how sequels work. You can't always just watch a movie cold and then not understand what's going on. You can watch this movie cold. I think you would appreciate it, enjoy it more, though, if you had seen those other movies or at least recently rewatched them before watching this one. But that's just how I am personally, so I get it. Not everyone's that same way. Richie said, do you think we will get a Dakota Kai heel turn? I don't think she's quite clicking as a face. No, I would keep her as a babyface. I think she's a good babyface. She also just turned babyface for the first time in 5 or 6 years? Excuse me. I think it would be way too soon to turn her back into a heel when I think she was always a natural babyface to begin with. They just have to kind of figure out other ways to get her over, whatever that might look like or whatever they have to do. I don't know. She won last night in a very good match. The crowd was quiet because she's not really all that over. Ivy Niles certainly isn't all that over, but I thought they had a fun match. She was a heel for way too long, so I would keep her as a babyface and keep trying at that route. Micah said, say his name and he appears. Yeah, and Joe Hendry's going to pop up now, perhaps. Daniel said, I like Chelsea as champ, but please get away from these Meechin rematches. I'm tired. I like Meechin, but the feud has been going on way too long. And if Meechin's not going to win it, we have to move on. Why are we still having these two feud? It makes no sense. Micah said, there's money in the name of Ricky Starks. I can't see him being anybody else. Yeah, it's an established name to some people. Anyone that saw him in AEW or elsewhere. So why would you, call him anything else? That just doesn't make sense to me. Richie said, repackage him as Tony Starks and give him an Iron Man gimmick. Hey, if everyone's got to have a gimmick, that's not a bad gimmick to have. I would definitely see that getting over. If his name is Tony Starks. I could see WWE doing something along those lines if this was WWE 15 years ago. Micah also said, call him Ricky Steaks because he likes expensive steaks. Again, I would not put it past them to do something like that. I said 15 years ago, if this was NXT in 2021, NXT 2.0 bullshit, there's a very high chance that would have happened. I guarantee you. Let's see. Ricky's official name is Mike Ferguson. Yeah, I agree, Ahmed. We laugh, but there's a chance they might change it to something stupid like that. Daniel said, that's so funny. Daniel said, absolute Draco Knox doesn't do it for you, Graham? LOL. Yeah, no, I can't say it does. It makes me think of Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter. And he looks absolutely nothing like Draco Malfoy. So, what is that, Mike Knox, long-lost brother? Bring back Mike Knox to be his brother on WWE TV. What a dumb fucking name. Draco Knox? What the fuck are we even doing here? Fernando said, hopefully Ricky Starks keeps his name. I agree. Micah said, yeah, that was my question this week. To rank all the WrestleMania Night 1 main events from worst to best. Yeah, it's the first one I have here on the docket, so we'll get to that in a moment. Richie said, happy birthday, Micah. Ricky Stank. Oh, God, don't give them ideas. Average Grunt said, I miss the days when mid meant average or okay, not god-awful. Yeah, I say some movies to some people are like, yeah, that was, it was, mid. It was middle of the road, and they think, oh, that must be bad. It must be terrible then. If you said it was like mediocre is kind of more has more of a negative connotation, which makes sense. But like if you say something is average, they automatically think it's bad. Dude, not everything is the greatest ever or the worst ever. Sometimes movies can be in the middle, upper middle, lower middle. It's like WWE. It's like the mid card. It's like wrestling. There's the lower card and the main event, but there's also the mid card, the upper mid card, the lower mid card. There's a lot of different, levels to this sort of thing. As far as not everything is great and not everything is awful. Sometimes there can be a bit of shades of gray, and I thought that movie was exactly that. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. Yeah, like Richie said, it's a lot about engagement farming and bullshit like that. The engagement farming is so tired. I mean, we see so much of it on social media. It's fucking exhausting. And it's only for personal gain of like getting more followers, getting more eyes on your account, boosting numbers. I've never really been one to do that. I'll just call it like I see it. I'm not going to just put out a bold opinion out there just to get people to click or respond. It's just stupid. I mean, I know that's the society that we live in now, but it's just... it's tiring, like Richie said earlier. Richie also said it goes with anything. If you don't like something, don't watch it. The same people who call things mid are the same ones who still tune in. Couldn't have said it better myself, Richie. Grunt also said, should people have to watch a Hulk movie to understand a Captain America sequel, though? I can understand people being over having to follow every single Marvel thing puts out to understand anything. Yeah, listen, I understand that just because we're at a point now with Marvel where... there's so many movies. I mean, you don't have to rewatch every Marvel movie to understand Brave New World, obviously. But I would think you would probably have watched the show that came out before this that establishes how he is the new Captain America, or have seen the Hulk thing. I understand. Should you have to watch a movie that came out 17 years ago to understand this one? I get that. I'm just saying I think it, and they do a fine. If you haven't seen that movie in a long time, it's not that big of a deal. I just feel like you'll appreciate it more and understand it more if you did watch that movie. And I feel like it makes that movie worthwhile in retrospect. Whereas when it came out and in the years that followed, that '08 Hulk movie meant nothing and you did not have to have seen it for like ever. At least 10, 15 years. That movie did not matter. You did not have to have seen it. But then like when She-Hulk came out and Abomination was in that, it was like, okay, this kind of makes that required viewing now. Which I appreciate. I like when they can kind of call stuff back. But, yeah, Fernando even said Captain America 4 felt more like a Hulk sequel to me. Yeah, listen, people have said, and Hulk, obviously, no spoilers here, but Hulk's not even in it. Mark Ruffalo is not in the movie. So that was another complaint that I saw. I don't know. It doesn't really bother me personally. He's off doing other shit right now. I thought the movie was still good. They utilized what they did. And I thought it was cool they brought back that character from that first Hulk movie for this one. They even replaced the original Hulk with Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, exactly. So that original actor, Edward Norton, you don't even have to have seen that movie before watching like the Avengers because it's not even the same actor. Other actors from that movie do come back in other stuff, but Edward Norton was the only one who did not come back, actually. Of everyone in that movie, aside from the guy from Modern Family, Ty something, not Ty Dellinger, I forgot his name. It's the guy from Modern Family. Everyone else from that movie did come back at some point. Except Edward Norton. Now, the character did, but he did not. And why would he? Unless it was like a multiverse thing, that would have been interesting. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, though. If that was going to happen, it probably would have happened by now. Richie said, man, NXT 2.0 felt like eons ago, but it really wasn't. What a rough start. Yeah, it was a rough period. Micah said, GSM, I have another question. I'm not going to lie. I'm sick and tired of The Miz. He needs to start his retirement tour next. We don't need The Miz on 2025. How do you feel about that? I mean, I'm not going to say get rid of The Miz. Well, he also went on to say Miz winning titles in 2025 doesn't entertain me. He's done it all. I mean, I don't think he's winning titles at this point. I don't think he should. He won a tag title last year, but I thought that made sense. Michael also said maybe you put Miz in NXT with Ethan Page, but let Ethan Page lead and Miz can be like his sidekick. I think a Miz NXT run would cook. I just don't know if they would want to pay him as much money as they're probably paying him to work developmental. But it's not like they're really doing anything with him on the main roster anyway, so honestly, why the fuck not? Like, he might feel like it's beneath him, but he's never really been in NXT. He's never been in NXT. I mean, he's had appearances on NXT, he's had matches in NXT, but he's never had a full-on run in NXT. I feel like that'd be cool because he ain't doing shit on SmackDown. He just showed up and lost to Andrade, he lost to LA Knight this past week. He shouldn't be winning at this point. I love The Miz. He's always been one of my favorites. But he just comes out and I'm like, oh, really? Like, it's boring. It's tiresome. We've seen it all with him. He's done it all. He's been booked the same way for years now. He could be a great asset to that company. He still has it. I know Average Grunt disagreed. Like, has he regressed on the mic? I would agree to a certain extent that he has. I think other people have overshadowed him, and also the material that he's being given is terrible. But it's not like he's really making the most of it. He's like crying, like doing the fake crying. I'm like, what is this garbage? So no, Miz should not retire, but they could do something else with him that would feel fresh. He's already been a babyface, been a heel a million fucking times. The tag team stuff. He has indeed done it all. Honestly, like, he's still like not older, so I think at some point he would be a good authority figure, but we're not quite at that point. I would swap him and Nick Aldis. I would rather see Nick Aldis in the ring and Miz is the authority figure, but they're probably not going to make Miz an authority figure at this point if he can still, wrestle and he's not injured or older or whatever. He's older than Nick Aldis, so Nick Aldis should be in the ring instead of Miz, but that's just my opinion. Miz in NXT would be a good idea, though, so honestly, now that you mention it, I would not be opposed to that at all. Johnny said, let's see. Johnny said, I'm going to go see Thunderbolts and won't look at Rotten Tomatoes or the critics. If the trailers don't hook me, then I won't watch it. That's the way that you got to look at it. If the trailers do not hook you, then do not watch the movie. That's what I would say. Do not look at Rotten Tomatoes or the critic stuff until after the movie or until after you see the movie. Because I feel like when you look at that stuff or you go out of your way to look at that stuff before you see the movies, it like makes you think like going into it, oh, the critics shit on it, it must be a bad movie. Let me go into that movie with that mindset of I'm probably not going to like this. And there's a lot of people, especially nowadays, that are easily influenced by that sort of thing, and they want to hate on the movie because it's cool. They want to hate on this company because it's cool. They want to hate on this franchise because it's cool. And it may not be an amazing movie, but it's certainly not terrible. There are some movies that are indeed as awful as they were made out to be, like Morbius, Madam Web, the Sony stuff. The Venom movies, I don't really mind. But the other shit was fucking awful. Like, those movies were indeed terrible. But some of the more recent Marvel stuff, the Marvels I didn't really like at all, but I was not entertained by that whatsoever. But Brave New World I thought was a pretty good movie for what it was. Ahmed said, let's see, don't really care about 2025 Miz, but him going to SmackDown was absolutely needed for him based on change of scenery and working with new talents. Also, he was a part of the Raw roster since October of 2020. Are you sure about that? Miz had been a part of Raw since October of 2020? That can't be possible. Was he really? I don't think that can't be true. Miz had to have been on SmackDown at some point. Right? I mean, he was working with Logan Paul in 2022, so I guess he was on Raw at that point. In 2023, he was doing the R-Truth stuff. Yeah, maybe he was. Maybe he has been on Raw for the past 5 years. I'm trying to think, like in 2021, he was working with Morrison and Priest. He was on Raw. Yeah, maybe you're right. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, him going to SmackDown was the right move. It doesn't make me any more interested in him, though. It still feels like he was on that show yesterday. Like, not literally yesterday, but it feels like it hasn't been that long since he was on SmackDown because the brand split doesn't really matter anyway. So, I don't know. They definitely need to do a better job of booking The Miz because at this point, I'm just tired. Like, no one gives a shit. Micah said, also, Red Hulk is better than Green Hulk because in Avengers Endgame, Green Hulk was scared of Thanos, LOL. Yeah, a lot of people still are not over that, which I can understand. Red Hulk was a monster in that movie last night. Yeah, Red Hulk was cool. Wasn't in the movie for very long, so that might be another criticism of, they built him up in the trailers, which they should not have done. I know they did that as a marketing tactic to get people to go watch the movie. I understand that, but I feel like it would have meant more and been cooler had they not revealed that in the trailers. And then you see it, and it's like, oh, shit. That's fucking cool. And it looks cool, and the battle was cool. I feel like the movie might have been better received had they not done that. Because also people go into it thinking we're going to see it a lot sooner than we do, and then it comes in a little bit later on, and it was short-lived. I was fine with that, but I think I could see why people may have been disappointed by that. Johnny said, I want to see both installments of X-Men in Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't think they'll put even the older X-Men people. I could see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine since he was just in the Deadpool movie. But the other X-Men from those original X-Men movies 20 years ago, I rewatched all those movies last year because I hadn't seen most of them. And some were good, some weren't so good. It would be cool to see both crops of X-Men before they start up their new X-Men at some point. I don't know if they would be in that movie just because they already have so many characters to put on those movies as it is. They probably wouldn't. If they weren't in Deadpool, they probably won't be in this one. Again, Hugh Jackman was, but he was the only one. They put a lot of extra characters into the other movies, like Elektra from the Daredevil movie in 2005. Like, that was cool. I love Deadpool and Wolverine, but they didn't put any of the original X-Men in there or the newer X-Men, which it would have been cool if they did. They didn't. So if they didn't do it there, they probably won't do it here, just because they're going to have a lot of people to have focused on anyway, including some of the newer characters like Fantastic Four and stuff like that. Fernando said, happy birthday, Micah. Happy birthday, Micah. Again, Fernando had mentioned, which is cool. Richie said, let's see. Edward Norton was replaced with Mark Ruffalo due to creative differences. Norton has a knack for wanting to rewrite scripts or his character direction, and apparently he just clashed a lot with Marvel. So either I did know that and I forgot, or I had just learned about that the other day, because after watching Brave New World, I was kind of curious what happened with Norton there. Why was he recast? Because he was the lead of that movie. It's not like he was like they recast Terrence Howard from the first Iron Man movie. They recast him, and I'm thinking, okay, not that makes sense, and I think there was another story behind that as well, but like, he wasn't the lead. Like, that's like replacing Robert Downey Jr. And this movie was a lot less successful, so it's a little different. But I was curious, why did they get rid of him? Why did they recast? And I had seen the exact same thing. So, yeah, he's probably not coming back at this point. Even for like a cameo, like in a Secret Wars cameo, like in an alternate version of Hulk where he still looks like that, that would have been interesting. I think Mark Ruffalo is a better Hulk anyway, in my opinion. Bruce Banner, I think he's just a better actor. But that first movie, I wasn't a big fan of, that first Hulk movie personally. But yeah, that is probably why he's no longer doing Hulk anymore. It's for the reason that Richie mentioned. Abu Sika said, weird WWE goes through these phases of keeping names versus changing everyone's. Yeah, it's especially Vince. I mean, he would change names, like, I think it was, maybe it's a trademark thing, and they realize, oh shit, we can't get the trademark for this thing. Sometimes they can use a name in NXT, but they get called up, and it's like, we can't use that name anymore. I don't know, that's just how it works sometimes. But they do go through a lot of phases where they change names, and then sometimes they're like, hey, fuck it, we'll let you keep your name. But for people that are already established elsewhere, they should let those people keep their names. Like 10 years ago, they did not change the names of Bobby Roode, Robert Roode, which they did change later on. But he was also Robert Roode earlier on in TNA, so that wasn't completely different. But they let Austin Aries keep his name, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. James Storm was never really signed there, but everyone else that did sign there from TNA did get to keep their name. Shinsuke Nakamura, they did not change. So that was a pleasant surprise. Grunt said, I got to backtrack a little bit here. Bringing back Edward Norton as the Hulk from another universe would be neat, especially given the state of Mark Ruffalo's Hulk at the moment. Yeah, I mean, just for a one-off thing, I feel like it'd be cool. Richie said Mark Ruffalo started off great. He felt like the Incredible Hulk of old, played by Bill Bixby, but Marvel decided to nerf Hulk and all of their strong characters and make them stupid. Yeah, I mean, especially like again, it didn't really bother me because I'm not the biggest Hulk fan. I know Nick is, so shout out to Nick. He can enlighten me on that and whatnot, but Infinity War and Endgame, with the way they portrayed him, I mean, it wasn't ideal. It didn't really bother me personally, but yeah, they did make him less than what he probably should have been at that point. He should be more of a threat. He should have been more of a threat in Infinity War and Endgame, and he didn't really get his big moment in Endgame. I guess he did by like being the one to do the snap, but he didn't look nearly as great as he should have after being completely fucking destroyed in an Infinity War. Not even really posing much of a threat to Thanos whatsoever. Micah says, Miz 2016 as IC champ with sexy-ass Maurice was the best Miz. That was probably the peak of his career. I know he's been WWE champion before, and you could see the peak was like 2010, 2011, but he was doing better work in 2016. That Miz should have been a world champion. Did not happen. He won the belt again in 2021, and it was a joke, and he held it for 8 days. Miz 2016 was, like, I think his best run ever, for sure. And he also elevated that Intercontinental Championship that he held at the time. Johnny said, do you think Alistair and Rusev appear on the Raw after Mania? Alistair, yeah, both of them I probably wouldn't do on the same show. I'm still not convinced Rusev's coming back for a full-on run. I've heard that they're interested. I just don't know if that's going to happen. There's other people I would utilize before Rusev, to be perfectly honest. I feel like there is a lot left in the tank there for Aleister Black. So Black, if he's not at WrestleMania or if he doesn't come back before Mania, the Raw after Mania, yes please, that would be fucking cool. Maybe destroying Finn Balor, destroying the Judgment Day as we know it, or joining the Judgment Day, that would be pretty cool. Fernando, that Miz and LA Knight segment on SmackDown was trash. The segment I honestly did not mind. I actually was loving the fact the Knight was cooking Miz on the mic. That made me fucking laugh. Miz's portion a portion of the segment rather was garbage. I mean, that was trash. Like the fake crying was stupid. It also went on for a little long. I thought LA Knight was great. The Miz's portion I thought sucked. I was not a fan of that at all. Richie said, get rid of Ava as the GM of NXT and use The Miz. Ava is about as entertaining as watching paint dry. I guess she didn't get the charisma gene from Dwayne. You know what? It's funny you say that. I feel like I've said this on the shows before. I thought that was just me. It does not get talked about enough that Ava has no charisma, no aura. I know that's an overused word. And she does fine in the role. I'd rather have her as a non-wrestling personality than in the ring, because in the ring, she wasn't that great either. But then again, she didn't have a lot of reps, and I can understand that. But, you know, as the GM, what she's been doing for about a year now, she just looks like she's reciting lines. She has no, like, emotion. Like, I know she kind of conveys emotion with her words, but you look at her face, and it doesn't really look like there's much there. It's like I don't know. I don't want to insult her, like, too much. I just feel like she's just not a good fit for that role. I'm sure she's a perfectly nice person, but there's a lot of other people I would rather see as the GM for NXT. Miz, maybe doubling as a wrestler and a GM would be cool, like William Regal did for a time in 2008. Probably not going to happen. Again, I don't see them using Miz as anything but a wrestler until he gets a little bit older and he feels like he can't do it anymore, doesn't want to do it anymore. He'd be a great GM in my opinion, or at least worth a shot at GM, or as a commentator. I feel like he, as a commentator years ago, I thought early on he was great, got a bit annoying towards the end. But, as a GM for NXT, I feel like would be a better fit than Ava for sure, at least in my opinion. Grunt said, so how far are we from getting a WrestleRant Discord channel? I don't know. I mentioned that to you guys on the, on the community tab about a week ago, and that's always where I'll put, comments and announcements and polls and stuff like that. I had asked you guys if you'd be interested in a WrestleRant Discord channel. I'll ask you again now. If that is something that you would like to see, let me know. I'm leaning towards doing it and opening a Discord for the channel so we could, share ideas and just bullshit and maybe watch the shows together and stuff. I am considering doing that. Hopefully on the sooner side. It's just something that I have to get around to. But if that is something you want to see, please let me know. I think a WrestleRant Discord channel would be a lot of fun. Richie said, Grim, you didn't like when Morbius said it's Morbin time and morbed all over the place? That was the best part of the movie. I don't know what you're talking about. I love that part. That was the highlight of the movie. And the best part about Morbius was the fact that we saw it. I didn't see it when it first came out in theaters. Alexis and I went to the theater to go see it when they re-released it, because I think they thought people thought it was so great that they re-released it and it made no money. But when they re-released it, we saw it. And we saw it during a week, like on a Tuesday or something, where schools were just getting out, like for the summer. And it must have been like this high school, like group of kids' last week at high school or the last week of school or whatever, because they clearly came from school to come to this movie. And they were all like the most meme-tastic group of kids. Like they watch for the memes and like the Reddit user type stuff. Just their reactions alone while we were watching the movie made that experience worth it. It made me enjoy that movie 10 times more, even though the movie sucked. So that was a lot of fun. Like when the credits came up and they started clapping, obviously, ironically, that was very funny. It said, yes, Graham. I'm not sure what you were referring to, Ahmed. I know this was from a while ago. I'm not sure what you were responding to. Micah said, 2021 Miz was with Morrison feuding with RK Bro. Or Ahmed mentioned, okay, you're probably talking about the Miz thing. Yeah, I guess it was that long ago. That's crazy. 2021 Miz with Morrison against RK Bro was... The Miz and Morrison stuff should have meant more than it did. That was just a failed reunion. They were booked like a comedy team, which I guess they were initially many years ago, but they should have been more than that. That was disappointing. Grunt said, till you're 90. Johnny said, why does Will want to face Kyle in a cage match after beating him in the semifinals in a tag match? I could see why Kyle would... You're talking about Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, obviously. I could see why Kyle Fletcher would throw that out there. But you're saying, why would Will Ospreay want to, agree to that stipulation? Well, first of all, he's a babyface. He'll agree to pretty much anything. And second of all, he probably feels like they're 1-1. They had a match on TV about a year ago that they're not acknowledging for whatever reason. But if you don't count that match, they're 1-1. Fletcher beat him clean at Full Gear, and then Ospreay avenged that loss at World's End. Yes, he did win the tag match at Grand Slam, but I think it was Omega that pinned Takeshita. So Ospreay and Fletcher were not involved in that fall. So I could see why he would want to even the score, or not even the score, but rather, win that rubber match, so to speak, at probably Revolution. Fernando said it was good seeing a raging Hulk again, ruined Green Hulk, making him Professor Hulk. Yeah, again, I'm not like the biggest Hulk guy, so I can't really speak to it, but I thought the Professor Hulk stuff was fine. Richie said Terrence Howard wanted more despite making millions in Iron Man 1 after his Oscar win, and RDJ only having made $500,000 because he was coming off of a lot of controversies. Yeah, that's what I had read as well after I rewatched Iron Man recently, and I was wondering why they recasted him, and that is the reason. That was crazy too. They definitely should have paid him more, absolutely. That being Terrence Howard. Got to scroll back up. Hold on. I promise we'll get to the questions soon, but you guys are sending in a lot of chats, and I appreciate it. It's great to see you guys so lively in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us, by the way. This has been a lot of fun. Let's see. I forgot they made him into Professor. So terrible. Yeah. Richie said, all Terrence had to do was shut up and he could have secured the bag. LOL. I mean, listen, I get that he wanted more money, though. He deserved more money. But yeah, I guess if he just accepted the bag, he probably would have made more money from all the movies that Rhodey's since been in than he would have just from Iron Man 2. So yeah, you're probably right. Johnny said, do you like former wrestlers' cameos in the WWE crowd? Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, they put the celebrity stuff I don't really care about, but they want to feel relevant and whatnot. And like when they show Victoria and Mark Henry, people like that, yeah, I feel like it's cool. Richie said Austin Aries, forgot about that guy. I think a lot of people did. He has not been around in a very long time. Noel said, do you think Ricky Starks, I think is what you mean to say, but you said, or whatever his WWE name calls him, can be a big star? Yes. With the right push, yes. I feel like his size will work against him in WWE, but I also feel like his mic skills are strong enough. He's good enough in the ring, and he has that charisma to get over at a very high level in WWE, like an LA Knight, if they can push him properly. So yes, like WWE World Champion, I'm not really sold on, but I do feel like he can be successful if he continues to rely on his mic work and stuff like that, even though he's not the biggest guy on the roster. Ahmed said, put Alistair on SmackDown. Raw is fine. They don't need more talents. Yeah, Alistair would go to SmackDown. They moved Zelina Vega, I feel like, strategically to SmackDown so that when he comes back, he'll be on the same roster as her. Maybe not necessarily working alongside her, but they'll be on the same show because they're a married couple, and WWE very rarely breaks up married couples, on one brand or the other. Daniel said Ava is WWE's version of Bronny James. That might be the most apt comparison I've heard all day. And I'm not even a big basketball guy, but I know that makes sense. Average Grunt said, I know I don't. They've always been pointless. The textbook definition of filler. Richie said, nah, brother, every time Ava appears on my TV, my wife and I cringe at her delivery majority of the time. Us too! I'm glad we're not the only ones. Alexis and I too are also like, bro, where is the fucking, emotion? She's, reading off a script. It's so weird. And she's been in the role for a year now. This is not, a new thing. She's been doing this for over a year. It's better than her being in the ring, but she's still not, it's still not great. Micah said, Ava Rain looks more like she should be in my dentist office. Either way, we got to get used to seeing her because she's got a job for life at WWE. As long as she doesn't say anything super or do anything super stupid. Yeah, that is very true. I don't think she's going anywhere. She's had fucking 3 or 4 knee injuries, and she's only 25, 26, maybe even if that. She might be even younger than that. I mean, she ain't going anywhere. So you're right. We're going to have to get used to seeing her because in one way or another, they will utilize her. She's The Rock's daughter, goddammit, and she's not going away. Ahmed said, yes, we're interested in the Discord channel. All right, good to know. I'll keep that in mind. Now, now you guys are just going off on Ava in the chat. Mike has said, they fire Ava, we lose the final boss. Who makes WWE millions in merch and ticket sales? I'd pay her the $150,000 to play GM on NXT because Rock will bring in more money. Yeah, that's their mindset, so I get it. Richie said, I have a confession. I watched Morbius once 4 times in a row. Someone was streaming it 24 hours straight on Twitch, and it was the most entertaining shit I'd ever been in, despite how bad it was. I'm sure it's a great movie to watch with other people, and that's the type of thing I feel like if we could do another live stream soon where it's not maybe necessarily a wrestling thing, but if you guys wanted to watch like an older movie or something and we can stream it here on the channel, I don't know if I could show the movie. I don't know if I could do that, but I still feel like that would be very entertaining. I don't know if I would be live for 24 hours, but to watch a movie that we can all shit on, I feel like that'd be cool. Johnny said Tiffany Stratton Morbius would be a good Power Rangers. It's morphin' time. Yeah, the merge the two catchphrases. I feel like that would make sense. Fernando said, unfortunately, Ava just isn't doing it for me on TV. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad you guys all agree that Ava's just not good because I feel like no one else wants to have this conversation. Richie said, Matt Smith was the only redeeming part of Morbius. That man really tried hard. Listen, I don't watch, was he Doctor Who or something? I forgot what else Matt Smith is in. But that scene, I just can't get out of my head. Like, it's probably the most memorable scene of that movie for me, where he's like, the poop pants, I can't even accurately say it. But if you look up the have sex, there's no sex in the scene. But like it sounds like the song says have sex, poop the pants. And then he's doing, I can't even say it. He's like dancing and then he like growls at the screen. That shit was so fucking funny. That was so bad. I mean, he tried. They all tried. I mean, I don't know about Jared Leto. I don't know how much he really tried. But yeah, I mean, I guess Matt Smith tried, I suppose. It was certainly a movie that existed. But that scene lives rent-free in my head. Ahmed said also R-Truth has been on the Raw roster since 2019. He just moved to SmackDown recently. That I could believe because I know R-Truth was on SmackDown from 2018 to 2019 with Carmella. I remember that. And then he was on Raw and never moved. He's been Raw's like go-to comedy guy with the fucking 24/7 shit. So yeah, moving him to SmackDown was also overdue. I agree with that. Richie says, I would love to see R-Truth appear on every show. Raw, NXT, SmackDown, LFG, Evolve, Level Up. Just go full R-Truth. Honestly, I don't think that'd be a bad thing. I mean, he already doesn't know where he is. Like, they moved him to SmackDown. He thinks he's still on Raw. That was pretty funny, too. Fernando said, WWE, in my opinion, should choose to push Morrison instead of Miz when they were split up the first time. I mean, to be fair, they did kind of push Morrison. Morrison won a mid-card title at the same time Miz did in late 2009. Miz became United States champion, and Morrison won the IC championship. The issue with Morrison was that he didn't have the mic skill. So I'll actually defend WWE on this. Miz exceeded expectations because Morrison's in-ring work was better, but Miz had way better mic skills and way more charisma. Morrison was good, but he was not like main event world title good. Miz was at that point. They kind of, and they had an organic rise with the Miz. He was a multi-time mid-card champion, won Money in the Bank. Morrison, he wasn't really killing it on his own, so they kind of moved him into a tag team. And again, the mic skills the promos were not his strong suit. So I don't really feel like he was a good fit for the World Championship at that point. Now, when he came back a number of years ago, I feel like it could have worked. But at that point, he was not going to win a World Championship. The timing just never really worked out. Johnny said, are you hyped for Christopher Nolan's upcoming movie, The Odyssey? I don't even know what it is. I don't even know if I've seen the trailer for it. I think I've heard of it. Nolan, yeah, just... it's hit or miss for me. I'm going to give you a hot take here. I didn't love, Interstellar, that's his movie, right? I liked Interstellar. That's like one of Alexis's favorite movies. I like that movie, but what was the movie? Tenet, I did not like. I thought that was way too fucking confusing and got too cute with the whole time travel bullshit. What's the other movie that he's like known for? It's like Tenet. I don't remember what it is. Maybe in the chat you guys could let me know. But I thought it was good, but it wasn't like I will never watch it again. It was, a lot of his movies have to do with time travel. But then again, I love The Dark Knight. And I liked Oppenheimer, too. It wasn't like my favorite movie of 2023, but I liked Oppenheimer. So, if I hear enough good things, I'll probably check it out. But I don't think every movie he makes is cinema. I think some stuff is kind of like, okay, this is some overhyped bullshit. But, some of the movies I really like, some of them just aren't really for me. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. Richie said, I feel like Trick Williams finally heads to the main roster. CW NXT can build their brand around Ricky Starks carrying that show as champion for a while. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Trick, they don't really need him on NXT at this point. I feel like despite the fact he lost Eddie Thorpe at Stand and Deliver, I still feel like he will get another opportunity at the NXT title at Stand and Deliver. Lose, because him and Obafemi was basically a singles match when they did it at New Year's Evil last month. But then Eddie Thorpe got involved. He was always supposed to be involved, but like he came in down the stretch. It was fucking lazy. Yeah, they could do a standard singles match. No Eddie Thorpe, no fucking triple threat bullshit, and then you can have Trick move up right after WrestleMania. To move him up before Mania would be dumb because there's nothing for him to do. But yeah, he should be on the main roster after WrestleMania for sure. I feel like it's time for him to move on. Let's see. And Ricky Starks could absolutely be champion. He could absolutely carry that show. Him and Obafemi both. But they need more beyond that. They need Ricky Starks, but they need more talent beyond Ricky Starks. I feel like their men's division is totally depleted right now in NXT. Fernando said Alistair versus Uncle Howdy would be fire. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'd be a fire match, but I feel like as a feud, that'd be cool. Alistair and Karrion Kross. Again, the match itself, don't know how exciting that would be, but as a feud, I feel like that would fit. From a match standpoint, Alistair and Rollins running it back would be awesome. Alistair and anyone really, him and Punk would be fucking cool. Him and Kevin Owens in a proper feud this time. Him and Sami Zayn. Eva's 23, wow. Yeah, she's been around since they signed her when she was like 18 or 19. I remember they signed her right before COVID. And she had like a knee surgery right after. She's had a bunch of knee surgeries. I feel like in the ring, that's probably just not going to happen at this point. But she'll be around for a long time until she says or does something dumb. I'm not even saying they should get rid of her. I just don't really feel like the GM stuff is a good fit for her. I feel like she's a better fit almost anywhere else on the show. Maybe not commentary. I feel like a commentary she probably wouldn't be that great either. But yeah, I'm just not an Ava fan Ava fan personally. Morbius watch along, yeah, it was something. Yeah, that might work, Richie. Actually, the poof the pants, it was something like that. I made Richie pop, I guess, talking about poop the pants. Nick said, I will have the convo of limiting Ava's talking time in NXT. I'm glad Nick agrees. Well, I'm glad we all agree. We're all on the same page that Ava's just not good, bro. She's just not good. I'm not saying get rid of her, but she's just fucking, like, not good. I'm sorry. I'm not saying she's the worst authority figure they've ever had, but they've had far better, especially when you go from William Regal to her. Honestly, just make Shawn Michaels the GM. Like, he's already there anyway. We already know Shawn Michaels is in charge. Just make him the on-screen GM. Ava doing it just doesn't work. Average Grunt said, hot or cold, the rebooted Cruiserweight division should have always been exclusive to NXT. That's a cold take. I mean, it feels weird saying cold because I agree with it. Hot take means like, oh, that's a hot take and that's like stupid. Maybe necessarily. Cold take, I agree with. I don't think that's a hot take. I think a lot of people would agree that they should have made that rebooted Cruiserweight division when they brought it back in 2016 exclusive to NXT because they were already wrestling at the PC anyway as part of the Cruiserweight Classic. The Raw crowds didn't give a fuck about that stuff. The show was too long. They never really portrayed it in the right light anyway. They weren't having the same matches on Raw that they were having in the Cruiserweight Classic. So yeah, it should have always been a part of NXT from the get-go. And when they finally made it a part of NXT in like 2019, 2020, at that point it was too late. People just didn't care. They should have done that a lot sooner than they did. Abu Sika said, I would love to see Ron the Truth Killings back in TNA for a hot second. That would be cool. R-Truth or Ron Killings, Johnny said. Yeah, I mean, I feel like R-Truth back in TNA, now that they have the working relationship, I feel like that'd be pretty sick. He's a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, I believe. Abu Sika said, Morrison and Shelton Benjamin are the same to me. Strong in ring, but severely lacking on the mic. Yeah, I would agree with that. Grun said, would Morrison have won the IC title had Mysterio not failed the drug test at the time? Yeah, I do. I think Morrison would have won the championship at some point. I know what you're talking about. Mysterio, because he was feuding with Dolph. It was weird that Mysterio was feuding with Dolph, and Mysterio beat Dolph like 5 times, but they gave the belt to Morrison instead. That was kind of weird. They ended up giving the championship to Dolph like a year later. I think the title would have always ended up around Morrison's waist. I feel like they just hot-shotted it and gave it to him sooner. I don't think Dolph was ever going to win in late 2009. I feel like that was too soon for him. But with Morrison, they probably would have had him beat Mysterio, but just not on a random SmackDown. It probably would have happened a little bit later on down the road. Abu Sika said Morrison and Shelton... Or I already read that one. Ahmed said Oppenheimer? No. Like Johnny said, Inception. Oppenheimer I liked. It was Inception. Was the movie where I watched it for the first time about a year or so ago. Didn't love it. It was a really good movie, like, put together-wise, and definitely better than Tenet. Tenet I thought was just lame. Inception, I probably wouldn't watch that one again. Micah said, I'd book R-Truth to get crushed by some type of equipment in a backstage segment. He leaves for a few months and returns as R-Truth from 2011 when he feuded with Cena with a more serious character. I would love that, but I feel like if they were ever going to do that, it would have happened years ago. Like, it's been 14 years since we last got heel R-Truth. At this point, it's never happening again. And he's so over as a lovable loser, they're probably not going to do that, but I would be all in favor of that. I feel like that'd be really cool. Johnny said, how do you feel about Quentin Tarantino's films? I think I like more of his movies than I do Christopher Nolan's. Or it might be about the same. There was a period, actually 10 years ago, where like we were snowed into college almost every single week. And my roommate, who's much more to like movies like that than I am, showed me, oh God, what's it called? Pulp Fiction. I watched Pulp Fiction for the first time. Excellent movie. Amazing movie. Django Unchained, amazing movie. That might be my favorite film of his, honestly. The other one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I didn't love it the first time. The second time around, I'm like, okay, this is better than I originally thought it was. Yeah, there's definitely more. I haven't seen Kill Bill. I haven't seen Inglourious Bastards. I'd have to think back about the other movies of his. I haven't seen Hateful Eight. I haven't seen that one either. But I thought Pulp Fiction was great and the Django Unchained was great. So those alone made me a fan of his films. Micah said basically memory would come back, R-Truth, and he would go after the championships, give the funny character gimmick to someone else. But who? Who? I don't know who they would give the gimmick to, but Truth going serious for a little while, I would totally be on board with that. Fernando said, I didn't understand the recent AI movie Nolan made. If it was made by AI, then I'm probably not going to watch it. Unless you're talking about Oppenheimer, that wasn't AI. I don't know if there was another movie that you're talking about. I have no idea what that is. I'm probably not going to watch that. Let's see. Richie said, The Prestige might be my favorite Nolan film next to The Dark Knight. Inception was fun. Tenet was okay. Like you said, Graham, they got cute with the time travel element. Robert Pattinson was great. Yeah, Robert Pattinson was great. I loved him in the Batman movie they came out with a few years ago. Didn't love Tenet. Yeah, Inception was good. I just probably wouldn't watch it again. Interstellar was really good. And Dark Knight is my favorite movie. The Prestige I have not seen. So if Richie's recommending it, I'll have to check it out. Noel said, what would be your Final Destination horror movies ranked from best to worst? That's a good question. I think I've only seen the first two, though, so I can't really rank them. Did they come out with 5? I know they're coming out with another one, like Final Destination, like The Bloodline, whatever the fuck that's called. I expect Roman Reigns to be in that one. No, I think they came out with 4 or 5 before that. I remember the plane scene from the first one. The highway scene, I think, lives rent-free in all of our heads. If it doesn't, then you're lying to yourself. I think we're all scared to drive behind a log truck now after having seen that scene in that movie for Final Destination 2. And then Final Destination 3, I remember the roller coaster opening scene. I didn't watch the rest of the movie because that opening scene fucked me up. I honestly, I don't know if I could rewatch those movies. I saw them as a kid and they were really they probably would intimidate me more as an adult because that shit it's so ridiculous how they die. But it does make you nervous because you think about that stuff anyway. I don't know if I could rewatch those movies. But I like the first two. They're just, they're crazy movies. Fernando said Ricky Starks should be on NXT for a cup of coffee and move up to the main roster quickly. If they have something for him to do, then yeah. If they don't, then keep him in NXT. I don't really think he'll be on the main roster anytime soon. Alistair, you can bring back to the main roster immediately. Rusev, you can bring back to the main roster immediately. NXT needs the depth. The main roster does not. The main roster has enough stars and a few other people they don't know what to do with. They brought Penta immediately up to Raw, so I would keep Ricky Starks in NXT for a while. I'm not saying 2 years, maybe a couple months at least, maybe 6 months, and then I would call him up. Richie said Ava speedrunning knee surgeries to catch up to Rey Mysterio. Yeah, I mean, at this rate, she probably will catch up. She's only 23. Millennial Noob said, what are your thoughts on Asuka being hacked? Do you think this and the Stalker situation may be delaying her return? The Stalker stuff, maybe. I could see that delaying her return because she might not feel safe to travel right now and being in public. The being hacked thing, no. That's just unfortunate. That has nothing to do with her return being delayed. The Stalker situation, I could see that, though. Johnny said Alistair should attack Cody and Arn Anderson in his WWE return. Yeah, just mirror the AW debut because that was a great debut, so why not just do this exact same thing? Micah said, what would you do if Ava is your next interview? LOL. I would be as nice as possible. It's a good question. I don't know what I would say to her. I would ask, do you have any other, like, passions for, like, doing anything else but being a GM? Because I feel like she's nice. I'm sure she's nice. I don't really know what I would ask her. I would try to bullshit through an interview. I might have to say no, but I would feel bad after we just shit on Ava for the last 30 minutes that we would then go ahead and I would pretend like she's the greatest of all time by interviewing her. So I would probably have to turn that one down. But if I did accept it, I would have to be as nice as possible. I have no idea what I would say. But that's a good question, though. Grunt said, I don't watch NXT, but I'm sure I'd be agreeing with all of you if I did. Yeah, I'm sure you would, Grunt. She's not great. Man, the Ava slander is still going on. This is turning into an Ava slander. This is turning into Ava slander. Daniel said that one clip of Ava where she was still in Schism, whatever that fucking group was, and she says, I'm crying, I'm sorry. You guys are breaking me. This Ava shit is real. I did not expect to come on here on a Tuesday morning, now Tuesday afternoon, and just be shitting on this poor woman, but here we are. Oh my God. Anyway, he says, she says nonsense to Booker T on commentary and then awkwardly walks away. While staring at him, it's priceless. You got to send me that clip, Daniel. You got to send me that clip. I don't remember that, but I can absolutely believe that happened. Fernando said, Ava would have been better as a heavy for someone like Raquel is for Liv Morgan. She's not intimidating, though. I look at Ava and I'm not intimidated, so I don't feel like that would have worked. I know that's what they were trying to go for in Schism, or whatever that group was, like I said a moment ago, but I just don't feel like that would work. She's just not good. At some point, she would have to wrestle, and she's not good at that either. So, like, no, I don't really feel like that would have worked either. And her mic skills are terrible, so, yeah, being the silent but deadly approach would work. The silent thing would be great, but she's also not deadly either, so she just doesn't, there's really not a position for her that makes sense. At least that comes to mind. Johnny said WCW's Cruiserweight or TNA's X Division? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to go TNA X Division just because I grew up on the TNA X Division. The Cruiserweight division might have been better and revolutionized that style of wrestling here in the U.S., but I grew up on the X Division, so I'll go X Division. Micah said, Ava would say to me, so GSM, I saw that you think that I suck. Yeah. She would not even know, but I would feel bad though. Imagine if she saw that and then like I talked to her and then she's like, hey, why are you talking to me? I thought you thought that I was terrible. And I would be like, well, I do think you're terrible, but we got something to promote here for your show, so I have to talk to you. Johnny said, imagine if WWE had added John Morrison to the TLC match between Jeff and CM Punk. Yeah, that would have been a good match, but it would have made no sense. I mean, the feud I know Morrison was slightly involved. I think they actually even did Jeff and Morrison for the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown that summer. Maybe Punk and Morrison as well. But the feud was Jeff and Punk. So yeah, the match would have been crazy, but the match was already great between Jeff and Punk. There was no need to add Morrison. Grunt said, I am not convinced that we will ever see any main roster WWE stars in TNA, outside of AJ Styles showing up to be inducted into their Hall of Fame. I think AJ might make a cameo at some point. I don't know if it's going to be for their Hall of Fame anytime soon. AJ even said they asked him to be in the Hall of Fame this past year, and he said no, he doesn't want to go in until he's done in the ring. So hopefully he'll have a match in TNA. I don't know if he doesn't, it sounds like he has nothing against TNA. So maybe we'll see him wrestle at TNA at some point. I am also convinced it's mainly going to be NXT stars in TNA, but it is possible they could use main roster people here and there if it makes sense. I would love to see it. John Cena is still a chance. He makes a cameo, maybe not wrestling, but like in the Impact Zone on a live show, like a fucking Full Sail this weekend or on Thursday. That would be awesome. Grunt also said, seeing people hoping for a WWE versus TNA feud in 2025 is beyond hilarious. I mean, yeah, it's not WWE versus TNA. It would be NXT versus TNA. Worlds collide. WWE itself, the main roster would not be involved. Abu Sika said Morrison's WWE career was doomed under Vince. Main event-wise, if that Batista's story is true. Yeah, I know what the story that you're talking about. Yeah, he was never going to get beyond a certain level under Vince anyway, but at the same time, Morrison, I feel like, had to leave to improve his overall character and mic skills to become the world champion that he was in TNA. And by the time that he came back to WWE, it might have been too late, honestly. He should have come back a lot sooner than he did after Lucha Underground ended and not wait until 2019, 2020. He probably should have come back and maybe in 2018, 2017, not even done the TNA run. I don't know. Because when he came back to WWE, they only really saw him as a tag team guy. And They never pushed him on his own. Johnny said Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards are classics. I'll have to watch them. Ahmed said, I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but R-Truth is really good in the ring. WWE just doesn't let him go and be serious. I mean, yeah, he's had some good matches in WWE. At this point, I don't know how good in the ring he is. He's like 50 years old, but yeah, he was having great matches in TNA back in the day for sure. Johnny also said Hateful Eight is a little too long. All right. Yeah, I didn't see that one either, like I said earlier. Fernando said Dolph Ziggler should have been booked to be world champion when he was the sole survivor at Survivor Series versus Team Authority with help from a debuting Sting. I agree. They didn't, I mean, the thing though, at that point though, they only had one world championship and he was not beating Dolph. It was not, or rather, Dolph was not beating Brock for that belt. So it was always going to be Rollins or Roman. Dolph was never fucking winning a world championship at that point. He should have had a sustained push before they ended the two-top title thing in 2013 and kept him at that level. Instead, by the end of 2013, after cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase successfully in April, by December, he was jobbing to Fandango. So that's where they should have really capitalized on his push. In 2014, they should have pushed him more than they did, but towards the world title probably was not going to happen just because Brock was champ. The timing just didn't really work out. Richie said, Final Destination, I Love You Solo, Final Destination, OTC, Final Destination, Yeet. Yeah, those are all the upcoming movies starring The Miz. That, for some reason, that makes perfect sense. Let's see. Going through the chat here a little bit. Grun said, I will never see tanning beds the same way again. The Final Destination movies are on my anti-bucket list. Noping the hell out of them. Yeah, they're just, I mean, dude, those are all situations that could, like, legit happen. That's what, like, makes me worried. Some of them are just dumb, but like some of them are like, really? Like this is, it makes me like shit. Like how could they even come up with the idea to do this? Because we've all probably worried about like, oh, that crazy scenario could actually happen, especially like the plane stuff, especially nowadays after the shit that's happened recently. Those are movies that I would just not probably want to rewatch for that reason alone. Richie said, wow, I forgot about Schism. What a train wreck. LOL. That group was awful. That group sucked. Ahmed said, Booker T, tell me she did not just do that, Vic. Vic's like, I guess, yeah, if that's what happened. I don't remember that. You guys are going to have to send me a clip. Shawnee said, Ava could be a good manager, distract the referee or wrestler. She was kind of a manager for Schism. She just kind of like, I don't know, but she's just, as a manager, she would have to talk, and she's not a good talker, so probably not. Ava is the anti-Charlotte, LOL. That's probably, again, another apt comparison. And people shit on Charlotte. Even Charlotte's mic skills aren't always great, but there's somehow she's like CM Punk compared to Ava. Mike said, you've interviewed and met so many wrestlers. Is there any that you still got starstruck for? Also, I hope to see a CM Punk interview here on the channel in 2025. Punk, I would love to interview again. I interviewed him 4 years ago for a movie that he did. This was before he joined AEW, like mere months before, and it was great. I got starstruck for him on the phone, and I got starstruck for him when I met him back in 2019 All Out Weekend, my first and only time meeting him in person, and that was cool. I got starstruck for him and William Regal because he was also, they're my two favorite wrestlers of all time. So those two, Christian, I would also put in that category. The Rock, when I asked him a question at the media scrum over Mania weekend last year, I was nervous as fuck going into that, so yeah, The Rock, Regal, Punk, I think would all be on that list. I'm sure there's others, but those are definitely the top ones. Nick said, with Cena doing his farewell, how sweet would it be if Truth either had a match or with or against him, or just giving them some screen time together for a few weeks? It probably has been done before. I mean, they had that one 6-man tag team match on the night after WrestleMania last year on Raw, so they technically did interact. For a tag team match, I don't see why not. Cena and Truth versus another tag team at least once, like A-Town Down Under on a fucking random Raw. I don't see why not. Against him would be cool, but Truth is a babyface. I mean, that would be, I feel like it would mean more if they teamed. If they faced each other, we've seen them face each other before, 2011 specifically. They could run it back. The match would be okay. I'd rather see them team. I feel like that'd be more fun. Fernando said R-Truth was really good when he was NWA champion in TNA back in the day. Yeah, it would have been nice if they used that R-Truth in WWE when he came back in 2008. But they pushed him as like the rapping superstar instead, which got over. But the only time they ever really tapped into heel R-Truth was 2011. And now even that was short-lived. Micah said, in And the other day, I was talking about favorite triple threat matches. I forgot to mention Bianca, Charlotte, and Asuka with the Io Cash-in, a great match at SummerSlam 2023. Yeah, that was a great match. I was there for that SummerSlam. There's far better triple threats than that one. I didn't think that was an amazing match, but it was a very good match. It wasn't one that I've seen, like I've gone back and watched since then. But Bianca, Charlotte, Asuka with the Io Cash-in afterward was indeed a very good match. I will agree with you on that. Ahmed said, who remembers the AJ Kurt interview? That was a good interview. If you're talking about the interview that I did, Ahmed, with the two of them, that was a fun one. AJ, I'll still get starstruck for because his birthday is the same day as mine, so I'll always bring that up. I think we were promoting 2K23. Also here on the channel, just search up AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, WrestleRant interview, GSM, whatever, and it should come up here on the channel. But yeah, I talked to them at the same time, and they were amazing. So thank you, Ahmed, for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Johnny said, WrestleMania 21 or WrestleMania 31? Oof. Good question. 31. 31 just because I was a fan for it. 21, also great Mania. 31, I think, overall is better. I think I'm officially caught up with all the chats here, which I'll get to Johnny's too in a second. But when I'm caught up with all the chats, we'll go to some of the other questions, come back to the chat. But yeah, WrestleMania 31. That was a top to bottom. I love that Mania. That's probably still my favorite Mania, and I've been to like 5 of them. And that was better than all of those, I think, overall. 21's an amazing show as well. Love rewatching that Mania, but just because I wasn't watching at that point, I was in 2015, 31 gets my vote. He also said, rank these Manias 20, 30, 40. Good question. I'm going to go WrestleMania 30, then 40, then 20. Average Grunt is not going to like that answer, but I do not love WrestleMania 20. There's great matches on that show, but I don't love that show. I think 30 was the best overall one. 40 was great, but it had some highs and lows, and between the two nights, I still feel like 30 was an overall better show. Night 2 for Mania 40 was better than Night 1, and then WrestleMania 20 I would put at the bottom. Johnny said AJ Styles versus Daniels versus Joe is still my favorite triple threat match. Yeah, Unbreakable 2005, TNA. Still one of the best triple threat matches in the last 20 years. Yeah, Grunt's not happy in the chat. Sorry, buddy. Ahmed said, yeah, it was my interview with, Graham. I appreciate that, Ahmed. Thank you for checking the interview out from 2 years ago, and thank you for plugging it. Ahmed said WrestleMania 30 was a 2-match show. I like the vibes. The opening segment was great. Bryan and Triple H was an awesome opener. The main event was great. The streak being broken was a massive moment. The match itself was okay. Was not great at all, but the moment was huge. What else was on 30? Cena Wyatt was not great. I don't know. I just like the vibes of 30. I feel like 30 is still remembered as being one of the best overall Manias of all time. Like the highs and the lows make that show. 40 might be better, but I still think 30 might be the peak Mania of the 3 that you mentioned. And then Johnny said, you like quality over quantity. I do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, 30 was the audacity to call it. Yeah, it's not always. I mean, WrestleMania 40 probably had better matches overall. But yeah, I feel like the quality of WrestleMania 30 or WrestleMania, what would it have been? WrestleMania 30. Just the moments, like those felt like Mania moments. And people still talk about that Mania, and it was kind of the changing of the guard a little bit. Just the emotion that went into that show, and it was awesome. 40 is the same way, so kind of they're very close, neck and neck. I just don't love 20. I apologize, Grunt. I just don't love 20. It's a good show, though. Richie said, Bryan versus Triple H does not get talked about enough. I agree. It's one of Triple H's better WrestleMania matches. It's a great match. I know it gets overshadowed by the main event, but it was an excellent opener for sure. Ahmed also said, Daniel Bryan versus Triple H in the triple threat. Other than that, nothing much. I didn't like the streak ending because Brock didn't need it. I didn't like it either, but it was an amazing moment. Like, holy fuck, like what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean? Like, that will forever be talked about. For the moment alone, it was worth it. Micah asked, what was the women's match for Mania 30? It was like that multi-woman shit. That was a mess. It was like AJ defending in an invitational against like 10 other women. That was just stupid. AJ retaining was the right outcome, but that was just an excuse to get everyone on the show, and it wasn't good. Yeah, that wasn't great. Yeah, I don't know. WrestleMania 30, I just feel like it was just a much bigger show. 40 was excellent. I would probably maybe even go 40 in retrospect, because 30 did not have all great matches. But it was just a big show. Johnny said, is Daniel Bryan versus Triple H your favorite opening match in WWE? I don't think so. My favorite opener? Ray and Kurt, I think I like more than that one. Was it a battle royal? I don't even think it was a battle royal. I think it was like an every woman for themselves, Ahmed. No, I don't think it's my favorite opener. I don't know what my favorite opener would be. I'd have to think about it. I've answered that question before. I'd have to really think about it. Best opener. There's definitely matches I liked more than that one, but it would probably be in the conversation. Micah said, is Mania 30 still the best WrestleMania opener with Rock, Hogan, and Austin? Yeah, I would. Yeah, probably. I would probably say so. Yeah, I mean, the best like opening like segment in Mania history. Like, I don't know about match, but like, it's definitely up there. That opening segment with the three of them was amazing. Grunt said favorite WrestleMania opener for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a great opener. Fernando said Triple H versus The Undertaker in Mania 17 is my favorite Mania match between the two. My favorite is 28. 17 might be the better match. I think 28 with the emotion, Michaels being there, as the referee, the Hell in the Cell stipulation, that final shot, the three of them on the stage. I'm still very partial towards, that's one of my favorite Mania matches of all time, is Taker and Triple H for Mania 28. Daniel said he just DM'd me the Ava Booker T clip on IG, LOL. It took me a minute to find it. Should I react to it live here on the air? So Daniel sent me the Ava Booker T clip on Instagram. Should we watch it live while we're let me know in the chat if you guys are still watching. Let me know if we should do a live reaction for this clip. I don't think I'll get like booted for it. I don't think I'll get like copyright stricken because I'm just gonna play it off of my phone. But let me know if that's something I should do here to live react, and I'll do it. Mike has said also Finn Balor loses to Seth Rollins every time they wrestle. He hasn't beaten him since 2016 at SummerSlam, ? That's so sad, man. When Balor debuted, I never thought his career would have went like this. So they've had a lot of matches. He's won a lot more than that. Rollins has won a lot more than Finn has. I looked it up. Finn actually beat Rollins on a random Raw in March of 2018. But beyond that, of like the 11 or 12 matches that they've had, Rollins has won every single one. On pay-per-view, on TV, he's won it every single time. You guys are saying react. All right, we'll look at it in just 1 second. Yeah, Balor should have been booked better. I feel like it's just a timing issue because when he came up, Vince was still in charge and he got hurt. So he was being pushed out of the gate, but then he got hurt and he was never really pushed to that level again. And then by the time Triple H took over, it was like Finn's days as being a main eventer were kind of over at that point. There's other people to push. So he was just a victim of timing, unfortunately. He shouldn't need so many pins, but at this point he does. It's hard to care about Finn Balor. I think the guy's great, but at this point they kind of carved out a spot for him, so it is what it is. Dylan said Roxanne getting the dub last night was great. I don't know who Roxanne is. I only know Roseanne. Do you guys know who Roseanne Perez is? I know who Roseanne Perez is because that's what Lillian Garcia announced her as last night. I didn't catch it when it first happened. I caught it on Twitter last night. I didn't hear that when she first came out. Maybe it was because it was on Netflix. Because when it came back for me on Netflix last night, I think it was during commercial. So I completely fucking missed that. But that was fucking hilarious. They called her Roseanne by accident. Lillian Garcia did. But yeah, the fact that she won over Raquel was great. That women's chamber's looking stacked. That should be a lot of fun. So all of you guys said react. I'll open it up in a second. Fernando said Stone Cold Rock and Hogan is the best Mania opener. Definitely. Yeah, it's up there. If it's not the best, it's one of the best. Daniel said it's wild that one injury ruined his entire main event trajectory. Yeah, no. For Finn Balor, yeah, absolutely. Because he was never at that level again. Honestly, he may have lost that title and been at the same level like that he ended up being at anyway, but we'll never know. There's a very good chance that he would have stayed at that main event level following a successful Universal Championship run. Like he may have ended up in the Owens role, where Owens had that World Championship, and then after that was over, he was never really quite at that main event level again. He wins more matches than Finn does, and he won other championships. Finn's won championships in WWE, but we'll never know. Like I feel like Owens, after that world title run was over, he never won a World Championship again. The same thing might have happened to Finn Balor, to be quite honest. We just don't know. Yeah, she did call her Roseanne. She botched her name on her debut. That's so embarrassing. I love Lillian, but that's pretty embarrassing. And then Richie said, did you see Penta hit the camera with his ass last night during his entrance? No, I think I missed his entrance. Oh, no, I saw his entrance. I think I missed that too. You got to send me a clip or something. I must have missed Penta hitting the camera by accident with his ass. I totally missed that. All right. So let's pull up the clip. Shout out to Daniel for sending this to me on Instagram. Let me just pull this up. This is wait, hold on. Okay. So just for reference, the clip that he sent me is of Ava interacting with Booker T while she's a part of Schism a couple of years ago. So that's what this is. This might have been during Christmas. I see someone with a Santa hat on, I believe. All right. I'm going to pull on, let me see. I'm going to put up the volume so you guys can hear it. I'm not going to put it on my computer just because I don't want to get fucking booted, but you could probably hear some of the audio from my microphone. Favorite Lesnar versus Taker match, Johnny? Probably Hell in a Cell match. No Mercy 02, probably that one. I also liked their Hell in a Cell match in 2015. Didn't love the SummerSlam one in 2015. I thought that was a fun match. I actually enjoyed that one. The Mania match sucked. The SummerSlam match was better. Their best match is probably No Mercy 02. All right, so here's the Ava Booker T clip. Let's get it open. Hold on. The fuck? What? Okay. What was that? So it's Ava. Hold on. So basically it's Ava and Booker T, and she's showing off like the shirt that she's wearing, and she's saying it's 4 roots, 1 tree. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play it on so you can watch. I don't know if you guys can see this. Hold on. Look at Booker. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, who scripted that bullshit? The worst part is that the shit that they script for her sucks, and then her delivery is even worse. I can't believe this has turned into an Ava bash session, but that's basically what this is. I feel bad for the woman, but she's just not that good. Fernando said it's so unfair. Finn basically was punished for getting injured winning the Universal Championship. Yeah, I mean, basically. It's unfortunate. They never really pushed him at that same level again. SummerSlam 2015, Micah says, for his favorite Lesnar-Taker match. Interesting. I thought that was a fun match, but I thought their other matches were better. Not the Mania one. The Mania one was not great. Yeah, like Richie said. She goes, this is the definition. Why the fuck would she say that? I don't know. That's fucking weird to me. The way she was just, yeah, exactly. The way that she's just staring at him while walking off is just like, what are we doing here? Oh my God, man. It's just nuts. Just crazy. All right. We're 90 minutes in here. We're going to get to some of these questions that were sent in previously. We're just having too much fun in the chat here. I will still look at the chat. Now that we're caught up in the chat, I will keep cutting back. So feel free to keep chatting, obviously. I'll look at it as I finish each question. Micah Doesn't, who we were spoke... Almost fucking fell backward. Nick said 4 roots, 1 tree. I ain't no plant guy, but doesn't 1 tree have multiple roots? Bro, I have no idea. I have no... I don't know. I don't know. This poor woman, man. At this point, it's just hard to care because she does it to herself because you know you can be better. Like, I know she's the fucking Rock's daughter. Like, there's not a single gene inside of you that says, all right, you can have like an ounce of charisma. There is not an ounce of charisma or emotion in her when it comes to these deliveries. Maybe in real life she's a sweetheart, but on TV we just don't see that. It's crazy. Anyway, Micah sent in a YouTube comment question earlier. And he said, can you rank the WrestleMania Night 1 main events from worst to best? All right, so let me know what you guys think of this. All right, so I wrote these down. He asked me to rank the Night 1 WrestleMania main events from worst to best. And this is my list. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Owens. I know you're going to be upset that I'm probably putting that at 5, But I just feel like of all the matches, that is the weakest. I'm crying too, obviously. That is the. She does need to go to acting class. That is the weakest match of the 5. So I'm putting that at 5. Although I loved it, it's the weakest match. 4, I'm going to go Cody and Rollins versus Roman and Rock. The night 1 main event from last year. Great tag team match, but I feel like the other matches were better. 3, I'm going to go Bianca and Sasha from WrestleMania 37. 2, oh wait, did I write down 2? Oh no, there's only been 4. My bad, I'm sorry. So it would at 4 it would be Owens and Austin. 3 would be Cody and Seth versus Rock and Roman. 2 would be Sasha and Bianca. And 1, to me, which was the perfect match, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's what I would do. That's my WrestleMania Night 1 main events ranked from worst to best. They're all great, though. Nick said, I'm sorry, I'll stop making jokes. Focus. No, keep the jokes coming. Oh, the Boneyard match. I forgot about the Boneyard match. Okay. So if I had to put the Boneyard match in there, then I forgot that we had a 2-night Mania and during COVID. It completely missed my mind, I guess. I would put that maybe last. The Boneyard match was amazing, but I mean, it's a cinematic match. I would still put it beyond or below the rest. I feel like the other matches are better. But the Boneyard match was a lot of fun, man. You know what, actually? I take that back. I'm going to put the Boneyard match in number 3. So Owens and Zayn versus the Usos in number 1. 2, Sasha and Bianca. 3, Boneyard match. That might be a bold opinion. 4, Cody and Rollins versus Rock and Roman from last year. And then 5, KO and Austin. KO and Stone Cold. That's my ranking. Dylan said, what do you think of the rumors of The Rock being cast as Apocalypse for MCU X-Men? I feel like it's cool. I mean, his fucking, what was it called? What was that movie that was called? That he was in oh my God, I don't remember. What was that movie called that he was in the DCU? Help me out in the chat. Black Adam. Black Adam. Yeah, that is a bold opinion, Mike. I guess it is. Yeah, so Black Adam was not great. It was good. It was decent. It was one of those movies where it wasn't the worst ever and the best ever. We talked about that earlier. His acting was not great in that. His acting isn't great in general. I feel like as Apocalypse, it would be cool. Since the DCU stuff, flopped out, I feel like him in the MCU would be sick. Shazam? No, it was Black Adam, the Tooth Fairy. No, we never got to see Black Adam in Shazam interact because of The Rock. That was his call, apparently. But yeah, him as Apocalypse would be cool, though. Let me backtrack a little bit here. One sec. Micah said Ava needs to go to acting class with her dad. Yeah, they could do father-daughter acting classes. Not teaching them, but going to them. Fernando said Ava didn't get anything from The Rock and Dwayne Johnson talent gene pool. Yeah, apparently not. Daniel said, it's wild that Cody's already going to tie Stone Cold for WrestleMania main events. Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, it's just because Cody's been around longer. He will have been around longer. Stone Cold was only around for a cup of coffee, but you have to think he was only around for a cup of coffee at the main event scene. But in those 5 years that he was around in WWE full time, he main evented like most of those Manias, which is pretty crazy. That is a controversial top 5. I guess so. What are you guys saying in the chat now? The Scorpion King, humans, Jumanji. What? Walking Tall? Yeah, Walking Tall I liked. Ava should be cast in the MCU? Absolutely fucking not. Let me ask you guys a question. You guys are asking me questions. Let me ask you guys a question. Who would Ava be in the MCU if she was to be given a role? This poor woman. If we were to give Ava a role in the MCU, who would she be? Like, give me your bold pick for who Ava would be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Dylan said, Trash Adam, I feel like he can play Apocalypse pretty well. With better direction, yeah, he might be better. The Rundown, Skyscraper was Die Hard 2.0, and not in a good way either. It was Die Hard light. That movie was not great. Doom, San Andreas, Hercules. I liked San Andreas. It was a guilty pleasure because it made absolutely no fucking sense. I liked Hercules as well. San Andreas made 0 sense, bro. Johnny said, what is your favorite Stone Cold match? Probably him and Rock. maybe him and Rock at 17. I don't know if I have a favorite Stone Cold match, to be honest with you. Actually, no, him and Bret Hart probably, WrestleMania 13. She would be She-Hulk? No, don't do Tatiana Maslany like that. She's better than Ava. The She-Hulk show wasn't that bad. I enjoyed it for what it was. Richie said Ava can be an extra in the MCU. No, I'm talking like if we had to give her a role. If we had to give her a role, who would she be? Ava can be Squirrel Girl? I don't even know who that is. I don't even know if I want to ask. As Jean Grey? God, no, Richie. That would be awful. If you want to make an X-Men movie flop harder than New Mutants or Dark Phoenix, then yes. If you want to make it worse than those movies, then yes. Absolutely cast Ava as Jean Grey. Nick said her role would be 4 roots, 1 tree. Seems like the best fit. Yeah, she could be Groot, like Mike said, because she's a tree. She's the tree. That makes sense. Fernando said Ava would be excellent as Nebula. Oh, man. I love the woman who plays Nebula. I forgot her name. I don't remember her name, but she was also in Stuber, too. Don't remember her name, but I thought she was good. Do not do Nebula like that. Richie said the MCU is obviously going to pivot. Of course, we got to pivot like The Rock. And Ava Raine will be playing Doctor Doom. Ava is Doctor Doom. Richie, you got it. Mrs. Doom. Mrs. Doctor Doom. Ava, I like that. Micah said one line to remember, no charisma needed, that she can't mess up. It's I am Groot. No, you need inflection in your voice to do I am Groot, and I think she would still probably mess that up. Dylan said, Dylan said the same thing. Groot would be good because she wouldn't have many speaking lines. Yeah, honestly, Groot would probably be the role. We can make Ava Groot. Even then, though, I feel like Groot, you have to kind of connect to as a character. And even though Vin Diesel inflects the lines and whatnot, I don't know if she, honestly, I still don't. Even with 3 words, she would either forget the line or not do it well. Millennial Noob said cast Jade Cargill as Storm. I agree. Ava as Jarvis? Absolutely not. That would be awful. It would be, hello, Tony. How are you doing today? Hi, Tony. What can I do for you today? Karen Gillian. Yes. Thank you, Kumar. They totally wasted her by not having the character in a miniskirt. Was Nebula in a miniskirt in the comics or something? I don't know. Yeah, Karen Gillian is good, though. I love Karen Gillian. I like Nebula because of her. Abu Sika said, I'm going to be reciting 4 roots, 1 tree for the rest of the day. LMAO. Yeah. Should I play it again? 4 roots, 1 tree. Man, that shit was awful. Ava can be Spider-Woman from an alternate universe. Yeah, and Madam Web too. How about that? She can be one of the Spider-Women in we can cast her in Madam Web. She might have the same amount of emotion as Dakota Johnson did in Madam Web. So you know what? I think we figured it out. Either Groot, which you would probably mess up. I think she would be great as Jarvis would be terrible. Let's just knock that one out of the way. Nebula would also not work. Groot might work, but if we're gonna really do this, I think her as an extra would be perfect. But I think in Madam Web 2, put her in that. It's not going to be made because the movie made no money, but I feel like in Madam Web is a Spider-Woman from an alternate universe. I think Johnny hit the nail right on the head. Ava's already been training to play Groot. She studied by becoming 4 roots and 1 tree. Listen, she knows. She did her shit. Micah's line popped me here. This turned into... I have to retitle this video. And Nick just killed me with his comment too. If you guys are trying to pop me, it's working. Well, let me go back to Micah. Micah's Eva, take 512. Your line is I am Groot. Eva goes, what was the line? And then Nick said she could play the credits. That one legitimately killed me. That was really fucking funny. Oh my god. 4 spiders, 1 web, Richie says. Oh my god, pivot. You gotta pivot. Ahmed said it's my favorite word. Yeah, the pivot is great. I think Nick won with the credits one. Mike won with the Groot with the Groot one there for a moment. But I think the credits one was the best one. I think she could play the credits. Even still, she would probably not even do that well either. She would probably mess that one up too. Dylan said Ava can play the foreigner from Craven 1, 2, 3. There's no way that she messes that up. No, she would probably say 3, 2, 1. If you saw Craven, you would know what Dylan's talking about. I feel like she would still probably mess that up and count down instead of counting 1, 2, 3. That character sucked too. So you know what? That character already sucked. So giving that to Ava could also work. So Dylan might be onto something. Richie got a big pop out of the credits one. Kumar said, Madam Web gave me PTSD. I'll never mentally recover from this. Yeah, no. Oh, man. That movie did give me the whole Sony universe shit gave me PTSD. Craven was not great. I like the Venom movies. Some are better than others. The Madam Web one was bad. Morbius gave me PTSD, too. Oh, my God. All right, we got it done. We got to stop shitting on Ava for a couple minutes so we can move on to the next question and stop. I regret asking what we should cast her as because now I'm gonna be just thinking about that for the rest of the time. Oh my God, you guys are too much. All right, but a quick plug here. We're not leaving, and we got a lot of questions to get to, so don't think we're done because we're not. I would end on that note because it was so perfect. I'm not even gonna look at the chat for a second because I got to get through this without laughing. If you haven't already and you're here in the video, be sure to like the video, please. I would appreciate it. And also be sure to subscribe. If you haven't already, I'm sure you guys have. But if you haven't, subscribe. Like, don't just join and hang in. Subscribe as well. Hit the bell button to be notified every single time a new video goes up. You'll be notified every time we go live, whether it be shitting on Ava or casting her in the MCU or just shitting on Madam Web, whatever it might be. You'll be notified every single time we go live. So please do that. I would appreciate it. And also like the video, like I mentioned a moment ago. We are so far off the rails here. Nick said, one more. I'm surprised that we haven't heard her count down before delivering her lines live. That's definitely something I'm surprised that we have not seen happen yet. And Nick said, like the damn video and sub people. Ahmed said, Graham, did you talk about your topics that you were talking to us the whole time? No, the video was about the women's mid-card belts. I got a couple questions about that. We didn't even get to that yet. I've been talking with you guys the entire time. And I have not gotten around to doing that yet, so oh my God, I'm dying. I'm fucking dying. I can't right now. This is just amazing. This might be the best live stream that we've ever done. We got to do a watch along for this shit alone. Richie said 4 likes, 1 subscribe. There you go. 4 likes and for each root, the 1 subscription for each tree. It's the best way to put it. Hand sanitizer said, I don't know how we move on from that, but we'll try. Hand sanitizer 1963 from YouTube said, top 5 long heel title reigns. And he said underrated for me is JBL. I don't know why. LOL. I loved a good clothesline from hell is what he said. I thought he said world title reigns, so I was thinking of world title runs. But then I think he just said title reigns, so I'm just going to put anyone in there. My 5, honestly, that I thought of, Roman Reigns, obviously. That would be my number 1. CM Punk, he wasn't a heel the entire time, but CM Punk's heel title run from 2011 through 2013, he was a heel for like the back half of it, so I'll include that one. Kenny Omega in AEW, I loved his. Bobby Roode in TNA as TNA World Heavyweight Champion was a great heel run. And Gunther, of course, is Intercontinental Champion. So those would be my top 5. I'm sure, like you could say Triple H. None of the Triple H world title runs I found overly interesting, to be honest with you. I was trying to think of like female world title runs that I thought were interesting as heels, but none came to mind. At least off the top of my head. So I'll go Punk, Roman, Omega, Roode, and Gunther. I'm sure there's better ones or other ones that I'm not thinking of, but those are the top 5 to me. Dylan said, if you had to cast the Rizzler in the MCU, who would he be? Oh, man, that's a good question. Who would the Rizzler be in the MCU? That might be a better question for the chat. I don't know. I don't know who the Rizzler would be. Just to get the Rizzler, you know what, himself. The Rizzler would be himself, and he will be maybe the Thing. I feel like the Rizzler as the Thing might work. Get him in Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe? I'm not sure. Micah said Roman Reigns has to be number 1. Yeah, easily. Ahmed said, nah, JBL kicking out Mexicans out of the border was crazy work. The WWE was a different product back then. It was a crazy time indeed. For JBL got ultra heat for booting Mexicans over the border. and keeping them out of America. That's just, imagine if he did that today. That would be just despicable, especially back then. Micah said, what about Jericho 08? He said title reigns. So Jericho was never, he said long heel title reigns. Jericho was world champion for like 2 months. So Jericho 08 was amazing, but he's never had a long heel title reign. I don't think ever. Except for now as Ring of Honor champion. This might be the longest major title run that he has had. Maybe not ever, but in a very long time. And that one sucks. Maybe it's great just because he's so, like, Jericho so right now is just so bad in AEW. But the 08 Jericho run was great. He just didn't have a championship for very long. Sasha Banks' NXT run, great NXT run, great title run. Is it top 5? Like, it's not even that long. Like, she was only champion for 6 months. So, I mean, that is long compared to some other reigns, but I wouldn't count that as super long. Rizzler as MODOK, book it. I agree, Richie. That would be a good one. Johnny said, what is your favorite brutal ladder match? There's been so many ladder matches. Probably Jericho and, speaking of Jericho and Shawn Michaels, No Mercy 08. Probably that one. I'm sure there's other ones. I love Christian and, fuck Del Rio. But I like Christian and Del Rio from Extreme Rules 2011. I very much enjoy that one just because Christian becomes World Heavyweight Champion that night. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other ones, but those are the ones that come to mind. There's plenty of other ones, but I would be here all day just naming them off. Rachel said John Cena pissing on a gravestone was wild too. Yes, again, crazy time. Dylan mentioned instead of clobbering time, Rizzler goes, it's Rizzlin' time. Hey, listen, you're booking it. I'd buy 10 shirts. If they had a shirt that said it's Rizzin' time, I'd buy it. Learning Jericho Tree not only sucks, Ahmed, it is some of the worst shit in any promotion right now. I fucking hate Learning Tree Chris Jericho. I have said it here on the streams before, and this is a guy that grew up a big Jericho-holic, big Jericho fan, into the ring, inside of the ring, outside of the ring. The Jericho Learning Tree bullshit is so fucking bad. I cannot even put into words how, like, I want to change the channel every single time he's on. It is fucking awful. I think what makes it even worse is the fact that he thinks it's great. So we're just going to keep going along with I'm the Learning Tree, and it's fucking trash. You want to talk about trees? We can cast him as a tree, fucking bury the tree, chop the tree down, bury it in the grass. Ava would be a better Learning Tree than this Jericho nonsense. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Kumar said Punk's best era was heel versus Hardy, was as a heel versus Hardy and Taker. Now his fourth wall stuff is just cringe. I love Punk as a character, but Phil needs to STFU. Well, bold opinion. I don't know if that's actually bold. A lot of people don't like Punk. I did like Punk in 09, though. I still love Punk today. So I don't agree with that part. The fourth wall stuff, I don't agree with. But the heel stuff in 09, I do agree with. That was an amazing run for Punk as the head heel on SmackDown in the second half of 2009. Johnny said, rank these long title runs. Roman, Gunther, and Bianca. Well, Bianca would be 3. Roman and Gunther were better. Gunther would probably be better than Roman just because Gunther was actually around for most of it. Roman's run I loved a lot more than most, actually. He held it on for a little too long, but Gunther's reign was honestly practically perfect. So I would go Gunther, and then Roman, and then Bianca. World title runs, I'd go Roman, but just title runs in general, Gunther would be first. Super Pony saying, why does Triple H hate Finn? I don't know. At this point, I feel like we're just beyond the Finn phase. Like, if he was going to push him, it would have been years ago. I just don't see him pushing him ever again. I just do not see a point in which Finn will ever be a world champion. I'm still waiting for this sustained singles push that Finn Balor is rumored to have been getting a couple of months ago. I'm still waiting on it. I saw that was rumored. Still waiting on that. I don't know if he hates him, but he's definitely not going to be the level that he was many years ago. I just feel like Finn's time... It's like Shinsuke Nakamura. I think Triple H was a big Nakamura fan when he was in NXT a decade ago. I know Nakamura is a champion now. I don't know why, but... You know, there's just other people, they're on the older side now, and there's other people they should be pushing that are fresher faces instead of them. I feel like that's just the case. Richie said Jericho needs to retire. You could tell when CVV asked him about that, it genuinely bothered him. Yeah, I mean, he acts like it doesn't, but it definitely does. I mean, it absolutely bothers him that people feel like he should retire. And I'm not saying he needs to retire. He just needs to stop doing this nonsense or just not be around as much. He is so overexposed, it's not even funny. We did not get Ricky Starks barely at all on AEW television in 2024. or Malachi Black, but Jericho is on almost every single episode of Dynamite. That's just awful television. That makes zero sense. Richie said, Learning Tree Chris Jericho taking notes from Ava Rain. Yeah, like I said, not bad. What is worse, Ava Rain or Chris Jericho Learning Tree? Chris Jericho Learning Tree. And that is saying something. I know we've spent this entire time shitting on Ava. That is how bad Chris Jericho is. Like, it is egregiously awful. Ava's not good, but at least, like, it's tolerable. Jericho is egregiously bad. Like, I know we said earlier, oh, not everything's the best or worst ever. No, this Jericho shit is the worst shit that he's ever done in his entire career. And you can fucking quote me on that. And that is coming from someone who has long enjoyed Jericho, great WCW run, great in WWE, even great at some points in AEW. But this shit that he's doing right now is the worst phase of his entire 30-plus year career. And it's not even close. Richie said they can never make me hit you, Phil. I'm the same way. I'll forever be a punk mark. That won't ever change. Mike has said, do you think this is accurate? Number 1, WWE, 2 TNA, 3 AEW for North American wrestling promotions. Your thoughts, Mr. GSM? I mean, no, it's AEW is 2. If you're talking like best promotions, I would still put AEW over TNA. I think TNA is great. AEW just produces better shows sometimes, and AEW is the number 2 promotion in the States. There is no, like, even for their TV exposure alone. I know people may not like AEW, but that's just a fact. So WWE 1, AEW 2, TNA 3. Even in terms of quality, I would still probably go AEW over TNA, although I enjoy TNA a lot. TNA is very underrated. Ahmed said, or Johnny said first, it's crazy that Shinsuke's best match in WWE was his debut match against Sami Zayn. Yeah, he peaked that night, and he had a great run after that, but he still has yet to have a better match than that one. The crowd, the circumstance, everything about that match was perfect. And he's had a lot of other good matches, but that was the best match. Just, it was a special time in NXT and in his career. Ahmed said, is it me, or when Vince ruins Triple H's guys, he doesn't really try to build them back up. Most of them most of them, which is just disappointing. I'm talking about Triple H, doesn't try to build them back up, he just gives up. I mean, honestly, with Finn Balor, though, I don't really think people are going to take him seriously. Nakamura, they tried to repackage, to be fair. The people that Vince buried, could Triple H have given them another shot? I mean, he did to, like, LA Knight, among other people. There's just certain people like Finn and Nakamura that have been there for so long that it's like, yeah, could he try to rebuild them? Yeah. Would they be a world champion? No. I'd rather see Kevin Owens as world champion. I'd rather see Drew as world champion again. I'd rather see Sammy as world champion for the first time. Jey Uso is so over. Why would you go back to Finn when you have Jey right there? Finn is absolutely better than Jey Uso. He is a million times better than Jey Uso. But Jey has a connection with the crowd that Finn never has. That's just a fact. Jey is more over now in his career than Finn ever was. And Finn has been over, especially in NXT. But Jey is even more over than Finn was, now or ever before. That's just true. So why would you not run with Uso instead of Finn? So that's I could see where Triple H is coming from in 2025. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I could see why he's not pushing people like Finn or Nakamura. I mean, Nakamura is technically being pushed as U.S. champion. That just doesn't make sense to me. Kumar said 100% overstaying its welcome. Talking about Jericho, I assume. I don't hate him, but I feel bad that he can't see that he's ruining Easy for me to say. Ruining his own legacy. He absolutely is. The Jericho shit is so fucking bad. His legacy isn't completely ruined, but he's doing more damage the longer this shit goes on. And it wasn't great before that. Let's be honest here. I mean, the Jericho Appreciation Society fucking sucked. I mean, that stuff was awful. When he was Lionheart last year, that made no sense. The Inner Circle towards the end was not great. I mean, he has not been great for most of his AEW run. He peaked early on when he was doing the Le Champion shit. After that was over, it was all downhill. As soon as he started having Mimosa Mayhem matches with Orange fucking Cassidy, then it turned into, okay, this is just garbage. Super Pony saying, do you have any early picks for Money in the Bank? Mine would be KO or Mello. Early picks, no, because anything can change between now and then. I'm going to go LA Knight. I've been saying LA Knight for like 3 years now. I'll stick with LA Knight. KO would be a good one. I feel like if KO was going to win a world championship, he would have by now. Mello would be a good one too. I don't know if they're going to be ready to push him towards that level at that point, but I could see it perhaps. So yeah, probably I could see either one of them. For the women, Lyra maybe. I don't know if she'll be ready by that point, but Lyra isn't a bad option. I'm thinking of the women on both brands. Naomi, perhaps. Bianca doesn't need it. Liv doesn't. Liv's already won it. She doesn't need it. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Those are maybe Lyra though. Lyra or Dakota would be cool. I don't know. I'm trying to think who else is in those divisions on Raw and SmackDown. Chelsea Green, maybe not, but she's a possibility. Jordan Grace, but she's in NXT. Yeah, those are a few picks though. Let's see. Kumar said, to be fair, Wizard Jericho was the greatest gimmick in the history of the galaxy. That shit was awful too. I forgot about that. I'm a wizard. Like he's like fucking Harry Potter. I'm a wizard, Harry. I'm a wizard, Jericho. That stuff sucked. Noel said, do you see Julia becoming a double champion in the first half of the NXT this year? No, honestly, if they were to put both belts on the line, I think Stephanie would beat Julia, and they might just send Julia to the main roster. I think if it came down to those two in a title for title match, I think Stephanie would win. I think so far she's more over too, so I would have Stephanie win personally. Johnny said Roxanne would be perfect to win money. Oh yeah, Roxanne. I forgot about Roxanne. Roxanne would be perfect. And he also mentioned Dominic Mysterio for the men. Yeah, Dominic would also be a good fit. I agree with that too. Jordan B said from YouTube, who had the worst U.S. title reign between Dean Ambrose and Austin Theory's second run with the belt? Listen, I was not fond of Theory's second run as U.S. champion in the second half of 2023. It was not great, but let's not kid ourselves. That run was infinitely better than Dean Ambrose's in 2013 to 2014. You cannot convince me otherwise. Any other opinion is just fucking wrong. Theory, at least, before it went downhill after... I mean, he did beat Cena at Mania. It was a forgettable win, forgettable match, and he benefited... He actually regressed after that match, and he did not only not benefit, he regressed. But to be fair, he had a lot of matches, some good matches after that. And even before that, that amazing Elimination Chamber match, where he defended the championship inside the chamber, amazing match. He beat Rollins to retain the belt. Bobby Lashley, Rey Mysterio, Sheamus. I mean, a whole lot of people. He beat a lot of people to retain that championship. Dean Ambrose, you could not name me more than maybe one title defense that he had. He won it from Kofi, which was great when he won it back at Extreme Rules 2013. Defended it maybe one or two times after that, and then after that, nothing. For like 6 months, it was just a prop that it felt like a nuisance for him to carry around. And then he finally, they remembered that he had a United States Championship, and then he lost it right after WrestleMania in like a Battle Royal or something, which also made no sense. So Dean Ambrose, and he was champion for almost exactly a year. It was crazy how long he held that championship, and he had maybe like 3 defenses. And if he had more than that, no one remembers them. So Theory was absolutely his second run, and even his first run, were better as U.S. champion than Dean Ambrose's entire run from 2013 to 2014. Noel said, like Cena told Theory, even if you beat me at Mania, nobody will care about you. And now he's down at NXT. Listen, I could not tell you a more destructive promo, not constructive, destructive promo, than the one that Cena cut on Theory 2 years ago on Raw. He literally said, it doesn't matter if you beat me, you will still be irrelevant. It will not matter. Cena, I love you. I love you, John. Why the fuck would you say that? He must have actually felt that way. And it was partially true, but he was right. But I think he was also right because he said it. I'm not entirely blaming Cena, but Cena did Theory no favors. He gave him a mediocre match, a mediocre build. He buried him in that promo. He said, he didn't say people don't like you. He said people don't care about you. Why would you publicly bring that up? And up to that point, Theory was kind of sort of over as a heel, as United States champion. I don't know why he would say that. That was so stupid. Super Pony said all of Dean Ambrose's title runs in WWE sucked. The WWE title run was not that long, but I thought it was good while it lasted. The IC title runs were very brief for the most part. I'm trying to think of how many times he won that championship. Yeah, most of those runs were pretty brief. The WWE title run was good. And the tag title run was with Rollins. How long were they tag team champions for? Maybe a month or a couple of months? I don't remember. I feel like they were good tag team champions. The WWE title run wasn't bad. The US title run sucked, and the IC title reigns were pretty forgettable. Ahmed said his first half of US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US title reign, his second one was really good. The first half of the US ti second reign was really good. What are you talking about? As United States champion? The first half of his title reign was like 2 months. He barely defended that championship when he was United States champion back in 2013. I don't remember anything that he did as champion, so I would have to disagree with that. Johnny said, I'm happy Jon Moxley left WWE. The Rock's promo on Billy Gunn. I guess that one too. That was a while ago. I guess I'm thinking more modern. I don't even remember that, but more modern promos, I can't think of a more destructive one than the one that Cena cut on Theory a couple of years ago. I loved Dean Ambrose. I thought he had a great run in WWE. But I was happy he went to AEW because he's the perfect fit there. He's been very successful there. He definitely made the right call in that department. Had he been around when Triple H took over, that would have been interesting. But I don't really feel like his spot would have been all that different from what he was doing before he left. Let's put it that way. Richie said Cena was telling 100% truths, same way he buried Roman before their first encounter at No Mercy. Yeah, I feel like that promo was different, though. I just feel like he completely buried Cena. At least Roman wasn't good on the mic. And Roman kind of buried himself, to be honest with you. Theory was better on the mic than Roman was at that point. He didn't really have much of a chance to say much. Yeah, I guess that's a good comparison, but I thought the Cena Theory one was definitely worse. Amin mentioned Austin Theory. Oh, no, okay, not Dean. All right. You're talking about the first half of his run. Yeah, no, I agree. The first half was the first half of the second reign was really good. I agree. The second half was not. Richie said, best U.S. title reign of all time was Cena in 2015. I would agree with that. He had a great run as United States champion at that point. Kumar said, Cena joking about his opponents ruined so much for so long. WWF face Hogan talked up every opponent like he'd have to fight for his life every time. Yeah, Cena's promos against his opponents, that Theory one sticks out. He didn't bury his opponents previously, but like, he didn't do Bray Wyatt any favors for the most part during that feud on the mic. There were a lot of people that he tried to like run down and did not do them any favors. The Theory one was probably the most egregious that comes to mind. But yeah, you're right though. It was a pattern with Cena in his promos where he would not do them any favors and would not really put them over at all. And then he would also end up beating them anyway. So it didn't even really make much of a difference. It's like, all right, we're going to bury them on the mic. And then, all right, it would be one thing if they beat me, like Theory beat him in a match that didn't really matter and the aftermath sucked. But at least Theory beat him. Cena would bury his opponents on the mic, leading to his matches back in the day, and then he would beat them anyway. So it's like nothing is gained from that. They're far worse off after that. Noel said if there was ever a top John Cena being a savage promo on wrestler, it would be Theory's promo in the top 5 buried promos ever. I would agree. Noel mentioned that. Johnny mentioned Vince had Roman speaking like a Looney Tunes character. He did. Roman's promos back at that point, 2015, were fucking awful. The Jack and the Beanstalk, those are some of the worst promos of all time. I mentioned earlier, worst this, worst that. Don't want to be best ever, worst ever, whatever. Everything I'm mentioning, I'm not using lightly. I am telling you, those promos that Roman was cutting, if you heard them, are among the worst, maybe not ever, but certainly in the last 10, 15 years. They were counterproductive, to say the least. Super Pony said, who wins at Chamber, Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens? I think Kevin Owens needs the win, coming off 3 straight losses to Cody. Not only that, brother, but listen to this. Kevin Owens, I couldn't even tell you the last pay-per-view match that he won. Probably in 2023. He has not won a pay-per-view match in a very long time. Unless I'm wrong, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he has not won on pay-per-view in a long time. Sami Zayn has. I would absolutely have Kevin Owens win, especially if it's going to be Owens and Orton at WrestleMania. Then Owens has to beat Sami. And Sami has an out for losing because he's going into that match not cleared, he's injured, blah, blah, blah. That's his out for losing. So Sami's also an underdog anyway, so he'll be perfectly fine. Owens needs to win. I would agree. Johnny said, is Gunther's IC title reign the best mid-card reign? I'm getting congested. I apologize. If I sound congested, while I'm talking, because I've been talking for so long, that's probably why, just to give you a heads up. But is Gunther's IC title reign the best mid-card reign? Yes, it is. I could not tell you a better mid-card reign in any company, but especially WWE, that was better than Gunther's. If you have another one, let me know. I'm sure there's great ones. I think Gunther's is better. Gunther is the best Intercontinental Champion of all time. Micah Does It said, what is worse, the WWE title reign or what's the worst WWE title reign of all time? Not named Jinder Mahal, even though I enjoyed it, LOL. That's everyone's go-to, though. Yeah, Jinder's was awful. Jinder's was terrible. I say that all the time. What's the worst one? I mean, that's a tough question because, like, Rey Mysterio was WWE champion for a night. Would that not be the worst of all time? WWE, like WWE Championship? Like, we're not counting World Heavyweight Championship. Like, World Heavyweight Championship, I would probably say Jack Swagger would be in that conversation. For WWE Championship, Del Rio barely held the belt, so I don't think he's the worst. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people I'm not thinking of. I mean, like Sean Stasiak back in the day, like back in the 70s or 80s. He was champion for like a month. So, I mean, there's a lot of different answers, but, it would probably have to be like a Rey Mysterio who was champion for a night. And that was a complete waste. Yeah, Suffering Succotash, Ahmed, yes. Suffering Succotash, son. That's how bad that shit was. Kumar said those promos were so bad they made me start to like Roman purely out of mercy. Felt so bad for him being sent out there with that Vince writing. Yeah, it was, that writing was atrocious. And Roman, to be fair, though, I mean, it was partially on him. He just wasn't ready for that spot yet. His delivery was not great. The material sucked, but he didn't make it great either. Let's put it that way. Ahmed said Cena is in competition. Richie said, I think Orton makes the save for Sammy because KO causes KO the loss at Elimination Chamber. And that can be... you can have those two go head-to-head in the Mania because Orton wants his revenge. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I mean, I would still have KO win, though. I would still have KO beat Sammy. I think KO needs a win. He's probably going to lose to Randy Orton at WrestleMania, so at least have him beat Sami Zayn. That's my only thing. Micah said, Triple H said Kevin Owens was a different Kevin Owens when the feud with Cody started after the pole driver, or you said pole driver. I think you mean pile driver. Obviously, to Randy Orton. He then lost all 3 matches, and Triple H ruined him in my eyes. KO is a loser. I mean, he didn't ruin him. KO is great enough where the losses almost don't even matter. But, he did feel like a different KO for a different time, but he's got to win at some point. That's the key. He hasn't really won many matches that matter. That's the key. He is a loser. You are right about that. He hasn't won on pay-per-view in well over a year. That's why he has to beat Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber. And even the kicker there is, even if he does win that match, it's unsanctioned. So, like, per AEW rules, and WWE, it's probably similar, but the match technically doesn't even matter because there's no rules, So, but he should still win that regardless. Richie said Goldberg beating Kevin Owens and Bray Wyatt. Yeah, that was a pretty awful booking decision. One of the worst in the last 10 years easily. That was just atrocious. More so the Bray one than the Kevin Owens one. The Kevin Owens I can almost understand. The Bray one was just pointless. Ahmed said Great Khali. That was World Heavyweight Championship. If we're including the World Heavyweight title, Khali as well. But he was never WWE Champion. Super Pony said last time KO won a PLE match was when him and Sammy defended the tag titles against Roman and Solo. Yikes. Yeah, that was Night of Champions, May 2023. That's a long time ago. Noel said, would you say Julia and Stephanie have had the best first few months in NXT so far? Ever? I don't know about that. But, of the recent additions, I mean, I guess they've had a great run so far in NXT. I mean, Julia losing their first match in probably, I would say, disqualify that claim, but Stephanie has also had a great run too. They've had a great run so far for sure. Best ever, I wouldn't go that far. Johnny said Kane only held the WWE title for 24 hours. So yeah, he would probably be on that list as well. Micah said Ray won the title on Raw, lost to Cena in the main event. What was even the point of that? I mean, just to transition it right on to Cena, who was not in the tournament to crown a new champion. That was why they did it. It was so dumb. And to get the belt on Cena for that match with Punk at SummerSlam in 2011. That's funny. Super Pony says, does Randy really need to be KO at Mania? Need? No. Will he? Probably. Does he need to beat him? No, though. The answer to that is no. Orton doesn't need anything. He's Randy Orton, but he probably will beat KO for the sake of the story, just getting his revenge and whatnot. But Orton, or Owens rather, should probably win. Micah said Kevin Ziggler is his new name. That might be more fitting. Or Kevin Ryder. Ahmed said, I fear KO might lose at Chamber since I do see Randy interfering in the match. Yeah, like Richie said earlier, I could see that. It would make sense. At least KO would have an out for losing, but I would still have him win. He needs to win more than Sammy does at this point. And then Johnny said, has Triple H surpassed Vince as a booker? That's a good question. I mean, obviously now it's great, but obviously Vince was awful at the end, but he also came up with so many great ideas early on in his booking run. So I'm not going to say he surpassed him as a booker. I mean, it's still so early in Triple H's run. He might be also out of touch by the time he gets to Vince's age, when Vince was still running WWE. So I'm going to say no, but it's rivaling those shows that where Vince was at his best 20, 25 years ago. Triple H is just as good creatively. Maybe not better, but it's close to that. Let's put it that way. Mikey says, Kevin is a jobber. How do you start your career beating Cena in your debut match to where you are now? I mean, at least he's still relevant to a top star on the show. It's just that he never wins world championships. He never really wins when it matters most. There's people that aren't even there anymore that I would say became losers and lost, and like Ryback and people like that. But at least Kevin Owens is still prominently featured and people still care about him, which I can't say the same thing about other people. Johnny said, do you miss debuting wrestlers going on long undefeated streaks? I don't really miss it because I feel like it still happens. I mean, Jacob Fatu, yeah, he's lost matches, but he hasn't been pinned. And he hasn't had a lot of singles matches, but when he has, he's won. So, I mean, they've protected Jacob Fatu. Braun Breaker was fine. I mean, Braun Breaker lost pretty early on in his main roster run to Sami Zayn. But not everyone has to be undefeated. Some people do, some people are not. I would like to see more of it, but not everyone can go undefeated. You can't have everyone undefeated, because that way, who the fuck is losing? You know what I mean? Super Pony said, Finn is the new Ziggler, not KO. Yeah, Finn is more Ziggler than KO. KO at least is more relevant. I feel like more people would care if KO won a world championship tomorrow than Finn Balor. Just my opinion. Ahmed said, PP jokes, Vince really knows how to entertain the fans. Oh, yeah. PP fans. Oh, yeah. The PP jokes from Vince were top-notch for sure. Richie said, off topic, but remember when Bad Bunny gave R-Truth the 24/7 championship for some WWE merch? Yeah, he traded the title. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll trade the title and give it back to you. That's like when Gronk won it, and then he just gave it up in his backyard. Or maybe they filmed something, actually. I think even I think they even pinned Gronk in his backyard, but Gronk, it was during COVID, so he couldn't be there. That shit was a fucking mess. Kumar says, KO is the most trusted and reliable guy in the company. They can just throw him in a main event match whenever, and he'll make the crowd care. He's earned a WWE title run, but it's probably too late, sadly. I agree with that completely. Is it impossible? No. But will it happen? Probably not. But at least he can make people care. Richie said, do you think it was a Vince thing when Adam Pearce called Drew McIntyre on Raw a few years back? Yeah, probably. That line was totally a Vince line. That was probably when Vince came back. So, yeah, I could totally see that. Johnny said, better character, Toni Storm or Harley Cameron? Toni Storm. I'm actually not a massive Harley Cameron fan, but I will acknowledge that she's over. She's gotten herself over, and that's cool. I think a lot of, like, the puppet shit is kind of cringy, honestly. Some of it's funny. Like, when she flipped off Mercedes at her in her locker room, I got to laugh at that. But a lot of the other, like, she can sing, and she's very talented. But some of like the promos where she's like really like aggressive, I don't laugh at that shit at all. But she's gotten herself over. I'm probably in the minority on that. I'm just not a big Harley Cameron fan, but she has at least gotten herself over. I'm a big Toni Storm fan. Some of that stuff isn't like the timeless stuff can be a bit over the top sometimes, but I enjoy a lot of that more than I do the Harley Cameron bit personally. And then Richie also said, Gronk in WWE feels like a fever dream. Yeah, it was so short-lived. They had that whole report, oh, he signed with WWE. And then they let him go like 4 months later. It was so weird because he wanted to leave and COVID happened. It was a whole mess. No L from Facebook, another in the chat, but they also sent in a question previously. Thoughts on NXT's new wannabe version of The Shield? I'm not a fan so far. I said this during the watch-along the other day when we were doing that here on the channel during Vengeance Day. It gives me Retribution vibes, and that's not a good thing. I'll give it a chance. We'll see what happens on NXT tonight. But so far, I'm not a fan. So even if they need like an established person as part of that group to kind of carry them. I know the Shield didn't have an established person in the group, but I mean, no one in this version of the Shield that we're seeing right now is Seth Rollins. No one is Roman Reigns, and no one is Dean Ambrose. I mean, they might end up becoming those people, but out of the gate, none of those talents are on that level. So out of the gate, they're at a disadvantage. And then second of all, if the most established person in your group is Dion fucking Lennox, you probably have an issue. So they should have had someone else that we know in the group. So it's like, oh, okay, we know that guy. So I care about that guy. We'll see where this goes. So far, we know nothing about them. They look like Retribution. Knockoff Shield. Not a fan, but we'll give it some time. Richie said, what was worse, Gronk or Cain Velasquez in WWE? I mean, I got to go Cain Velasquez. At least Gronk was 24/7 champion, and he had more of a memorable role at WrestleMania than the Kane-Brock match was terrible. It was 2 minutes. I think Kane got hurt, and then they fired him a couple months later anyway. So Cain Velasquez was way worse in WWE. I had higher hopes for that, and it was a disaster. So definitely Kane. Johnny said Monet has been the best women's mid-card champion so far. Any company? Or like in AEW? In AEW, probably. In WWE, if you include WWE, then yes. Most definitely. Daniel said Kane by far. Richie said Kane was painful. That Fox premiere started hot and ended horrendously. I agree. That Fox premiere, I'd rather not talk about it because it was a disaster. That Brock beating Kofi in 8 seconds, that shit was just ridiculous. We had to bury that's how you bury someone in 10 seconds or less. Just see Brock versus Kofi from 2019 on SmackDown. Ahmed said, I'm seeing fans saying, what if Ricky Starks is behind the group? I don't want to see it. God, no, that would be stupid. Absolutely not. When I say put an established person with them, I do not mean Ricky Starks. Ricky's better off on his own. He does not need a group. He's been in groups. He doesn't need another one. No fucking thanks. Maybe he can make it work, but I just get Mustafa Ali vibes from Retribution 5 years ago where they tried that, and even that sucked. That dragged down Ali even more. So probably not. Johnny said, should WWE create a female version of the Shield? Yeah, but like I wouldn't make a Shield 2.0 with women. That's kind of the point. They can be their own thing, but like what would that group look like? Like Toxic Attraction I liked a lot. Then Mandy Rose got fired. Fatal Influence, I don't really like. That feels like Toxic Attraction light and not in a good way. Pure Fusion Collective sucked. Damage Control has had its high points. I've liked Damage Control. That's probably the closest thing they had to a female Shield, to be honest with you. But I mean, just make your own group with a different identity. Don't have it be like a female Shield, because I don't really know if that would work. Micah said, yeah, they did. PFC was the female Shield, and it sucked. That group was not good. It is not good. I don't know what you would call it because they're not on TV because Sonya got fired. Johnny said Lesnar did not like the New Day. Took the belt off of Kofi and Big E. Yeah. It might go deeper than that. I won't go further than that, but I mean, if you notice, Brock took who else did he dethrone? It was Kofi, Big E. Wasn't there another Black World Champion that he beat? Was there not? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Who was the other Black World Champion that he beat? I could have sworn there was a third one. Maybe I'm just, misremembering, but it was Kofi, Big E, and could have sworn there was someone else, but you guys can let me know. Super Pony said, need a KO Punk feud this year? Yeah, I agree. Needs to happen at some point. Don't know if it's this year, but at some point, that would be fucking sick. I'm looking forward to that at some point. Yeah, Bobby Lashley, exactly. It was Bobby Lashley. Yes, that's not a great track record for one Brock Lesnar. Having beaten 3 Black World Champions and The Rock too. Yikes. So I think half of Brock's title reigns, and WWE has not had a lot of Black World Champions, but he ended Kofi's, Big E's, Rock's, one of Rox's, and Bobby Lashley's. That's not great. Not a great look. Micah said Punk versus Grayson Waller is the feud I want in 2025 and get those, and Waller goes over, build a new star. That is absolutely, Micah, not happening. I don't think they see Grayson Waller on that level. I wouldn't mind it, but I feel like there's a lot of other bigger feuds you can have with Punk before he wastes time on Waller. And I like Waller, but there's other people I'd rather see Punk feud with personally before Grayson Waller. Johnny also said, how many Wrestle Kingdoms have you watched? I watched Wrestle Kingdom in 2015, so that would have been what? Wrestle Kingdom 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't remember. Maybe 10, I think there was Wrestle Kingdom 10, I want to say, or 11, 9, I don't know. So I watched that one. I did not watch the whole show in 2016. I saw Styles and Nakamura, so I didn't watch the whole show. In 2017... that was the Omega Okada match, right? I only watched that match. I didn't watch the whole show. I watched Wrestle Kingdom in 2018. I think I watched some of the matches on that show. I don't know if I watched the whole show. 2019, I think I watched the whole show, or at least parts of it. 2020, I don't know if I watched that show. I don't remember. I don't know if I watched Wrestle Kingdom in 2020, but I have watched it in full in 2021, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So I've watched it in full the last 5 years. Before that, I would kind of pick and choose, aside from 2015, which matches to watch. Richie said, I think a way to make this Retribution thing somewhat interesting is to have it revealed that someone in TNA is pulling the strings and do an invasion type angle of sorts. That might work, actually. I like that idea. That's a good idea. If we're going to do something like this, which I don't love anyway, that might be the way to go about it. Super Pony said Waller is just the younger Miz. I mean, not a bad thing. I mean, Miz is great. I mean, I don't know what it is now, but I still enjoy Miz, and we talked about Miz earlier. But especially 10, 15 years ago, Miz was great. Waller is basically that role. That's not a bad spot to be in, because Miz has been around and very successful for a very long time. Johnny said, which young wrestler should defeat John Cena in his last match? I would prefer for it to be Gunther. Gunther or Cody. Cody and Cena were probably getting at Mania this year. Like at Mania. Not for Cena's last match. They're not that young. Gunther and Cody are both like mid-late 30s. But I would say Gunther or Cody. Braun Breaker would also be a good one. So honestly, any of those three I feel like would make sense. Carmelo would be cool, but that's not going to fucking happen. Kumar said, I think Brock dislikes all humans equally. Man just wants to live on his farm away from humans. Yes. Honestly, I can relate to that. I kind of understand that. He has said that in interviews before. He hates people. And I feel like I can relate to that on another level. I completely agree. Mike has said, how do we feel about doing the lives over the taped hashtag AskGSM? Do you like this format or do you miss the old one? Oh, that's what you're asking me, Micah? I love this format a lot more. I feel like this works. You guys let me know. Do you like the live version of hashtag AskGSM more than the taped ones? We can go back to doing the taped ones if you want. But I was kind of, Brent, again, batting around the idea of doing more live stuff in 2025. And I know we've been doing this already now for 2.5 hours. And it gives me a chance to kind of connect with you guys and talk to you in a way that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise during the video. So I love the live shit now that I've kind of figured it out, and we're still working our way to see what works and what not. But I think overall, like, the live hashtags have been a lot of fun. Doing it on Thursdays with Mr. Marceau on WrestleRant Radio has been great. The Saturday ones, I'm kind of, Nick said live, baby. The Saturday ones, I'm still kind of, I need some more ideas. I like reviewing SmackDown, but like we talked about this past Saturday, I feel like I just like chatting with you guys, so I kind of get sidetracked. The questions we can always go back to. The SmackDown stuff is kind of harder to go back and forth. I know Alexis had mentioned like watch-alongs, but like there's no live content on Saturday mornings to watch with you guys. I know Vengeance Day kind of worked out. I don't know, maybe like a match or something. Saturdays can just be a day where we just bullshit, honestly. We just do whatever the fuck. I saw your comment, Nick. I'll get to that in a second. Or we could just bullshit about whatever. So I'm still not sure about the Saturday streams. I'm still working through those to figure out, kind of figure out what I want to do, what works, what you guys want to say. But Daniel said he loves the live content. Nick said live, baby. And Abu Sika said live as well. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the content. Or thank you for the feedback on the content. It means a lot. But I love doing the live ones. We've been doing these now for about 6 weeks, since the beginning of January. And my only regret is that we didn't do it sooner. But I feel like I'm kind of at a point now where it makes sense to do it live. And before that, I preferred doing the audio. And it was, when these shows were shorter, it would be easier to do the taped ones because I could do it in like an hour. But now we're having these episodes go almost 3 hours. And it's fine because it's fun because you guys are in the chat and we're all talking and shit. So it's cool. So Nick's comment was, it really keeps us close, like 4 roots in one tree. Yeah, exactly. Daniel said, the lives help me get through the workday, LOL. That's also part of the point, too. That's why I like going live if I can, if I'm able to, on Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoons, because I feel like that's when most people are able to join us. I would never go live after a Raw or after a SmackDown. I've never done that. I don't want to do that. I just feel like that's exhausting. After watching 3 hours of Raw or 3 hours of SmackDown, other people do that. And first of all, they do it better than I do. Second of all, I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. I just don't want to do that. But if we can go live the next day and talk about Raw and bullshit about whatever else, I feel like that makes more sense, which is what we're doing right now. Johnny said you should watch/rewatch the last 3 matches of Wrestle Kingdom 10 and 11. I don't have New Japan World, but maybe I'll sign up for it and watch it. I love Styles and Nakamura. I did love that match. I don't know if wasn't Omega and Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 11? I love that match. So that was their first major match at Wrestle Kingdom, and I saw that one, and I really liked it. Richie said, how about a poll asking for a live match reaction, possibly even from other promotions from of years past that you haven't seen, for an idea for these Saturday streams? That's a good idea. Yeah, we could put up a poll during the week, and you guys can vote on like what match we can rewatch or something. That makes sense. And then we can like bullshit and whatever. Yeah, I would like that idea. I feel like that would make more sense than talking SmackDown, because first of all, SmackDown's a fucking chore to get through, and then second of all, that's something you guys can also interact with and watch the match as well and whatever. And maybe I could put the match in the corner. I don't know if I could do that and get away with it, but just an idea. Johnny said, oh, Daily Motion and Facebook have some of the New Japan matches online. All right, that's good to know. And Super Pony said, Nakamura is such a drag to watch. I mean, nowadays I would agree with that. I like Nakamura. I like his repackaging, but he does not need to be U.S. champion. And in 2025, there are plenty of other people that should be in the spot that he isn't currently. And you said he's washed. John Cena is more washed than Nakamura is, but Nakamura is certainly close to being washed if he already is not washed. Cena is definitely more washed, though. I'll say that much. Noel also asked, do you see Julia versus Stephanie title at the next TakeOver, or is it too soon? We kind of addressed this earlier. I don't know if I see that happening. I know they teased it. I would be down for that. But it kind of feels like it's too soon to do Stephanie and Julia one-on-one title for title. They also just introduced Jordan Grace back to NXT. So is it a triple threat? If they do that, I feel like Stephanie wins and Julia goes to the main roster. Because why else would they do that this soon, you know? And they also just introduced the North American Championship for the women, so it'd be weird for one woman to have both belts. That kind of defeats the purpose. So, I don't know. Something to keep in mind, though. I feel like it could happen at some point. Stand and deliver would be possible, but I'm just not sure it happens that soon. So I'm going to say no, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Johnny said Shinsuke versus Will Ospreay would be a classic match in New Japan. I mean, not in 2025. In 2025, I don't think Ospreay and Shinsuke are having a classic match. They could have a very good match. It would have been a classic. Modern-day Ospreay versus Nakamura of 10 years ago, that would have been a classic. But modern-day, I'm not sure. Mike has said, first of all, he sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate that. That means a lot. He said, keep up the great work. It's not much, but thanks for always being here every week, man. We all in the chat appreciate hard work and dedication. He said, also rank your top 3 Ava Rain segments. You can do it, LOL. There would have to be 3 segments to rank. There would have to be, exactly like Richie said, does she even have one? I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much for saying that. At some point, I've said this in the channel update a couple of weeks ago, I'm hoping to have channel memberships available at some point. So, like, first of all, thank you so much for the $10. But second of all, you can put $3 to $5 towards a membership and get more content too. So the super chats are amazing. I'm not going to discourage you from doing that. But what I'm saying is, at some point when we have memberships, you can put forth $5 or whatever towards the channel a month or something, and you'll get extra content for doing that. And I've already kind of considered other ideas what we could do for member exclusive content. Also have like a badge in the chat, which would be cool too. But for like member exclusive content, whether it be classic content, getting videos early, member exclusive Q&A, whatever that would look like, at some point down the road, I want to do that. So maybe not right now. It's when I get some more time to kind of figure out what I want to do and set it up and shit. But something to keep in mind for all you guys. If you like these streams and like what we do here on the channel, content-wise, live-wise, hopefully at some point you can become a member when I introduce that membership, and we could do some more cool content. But as far as Ava, I mean, you sent in $10, so I should probably ask, or I should probably answer. Top 3 Ava Rain segments. Anything backstage where she's just standing there doing nothing, saying nothing, not giving anything. I mean, she gives nothing anyway, but like, I would give the Daniel's comment, Daniel's video that he sent me. I would probably put that at my number 1. Booker T just sitting there like, what the fuck is this? And it said intimidates Booker T. I mean, I can't even say that she intimidates Booker T. She intimidated me because it it makes me worried that we'll be seeing more of that on WWE TV for years to come. So I would say that was my top 3 Ava moment. And 2 and 3 are any segments where she has just been there, not saying anything. We're going to have to, you know what we should do? Here's an idea, guys. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not going to do this right now. But what we can do on a future stream, we're talking about watch-alongs and shit. What about on Saturdays, including this Saturday maybe, Saturday morning or something, we can watch Ava's segment, Ava Rain segments together here on the channel. And I could try to put it up in the corner, and we can try to look for Ava shit. How about that? Would that be something you guys would want to see? We can all watch, we could suffer through Ava content together on YouTube. Not a bad idea, I wouldn't say. Richie also had said, Graham, are you hitting up NEW in May this year? They finally announced the show. Yes, I should be at that show. I would like to be at that show. If you're going, Richie, let me know. I would love to see you there. But they announced Brad Baylor is part of the ID program. He's going to be on that show. BRG, the live champion, is going to be on the show they announced. Waves and Curls are going to be there. Matt Taven. We all know the story between those two. The story between Matt Taven and myself, but the story of Matt Taven, which I've told before. He's going to be at that show, my absolute favorite, quote-unquote. And they had previously announced Ricky Starks before he went to WWE. I don't know if he would still be there. It would be pretty fucking cool since he already committed to it that he's going to be on that show, but I'm not sure about that yet. And then Matt Riddle they also announced, but Matt Riddle they announced for 2 shows last year and he no-showed. So maybe third time is the charm, or maybe he just no-shows again. I can't confirm that. Super Pony said, I wish Logan Paul would just go away. I don't care how good he is. I can't stand him. There's a lot of people that would be that feel the same way. So I'm sure you're not the only one, Super Pony, that feels that way. Nick said yes to doing a live Ava watch-along. Richie laughed. Daniel said, I'm down. Abu Sika said, let's do it. So maybe that's what we could do on Saturday. I can't promote that because I don't know if I'll definitely do that, but I feel like that would be fun. I'm not going to do it today. I got to get through the rest of these questions, and then we can maybe do it on Saturday. Micah did say, though, I don't know if you get her for an interview, that might be an awkward conversation if she ever finds the video on your channel, LOL. You better pray she's not your next interview. Final Boss is going to do to you what he did to Cody in front of the bus. And we don't want that, GSM. That's a good point. Guess what? Ava, I'm willing to bet she probably would not know that we would have done that video. So maybe she'll think, oh, maybe they're reacting to my content because it's so great. Maybe she'll see the video but not actually watch it. And she'll think, man, this guy's such a big fan that, that they did a whole video reacting to my stuff. That's so nice. Then I'm like, yeah, that's what we did. And then she won't have watched the video where we just shit on everything that she's done in the next day. Don't tell her. No one let Ava know, please. Richie said, I want to make a custom shirt that says, Matt Taven sucks eggs and sit in the front row. I'll make a second one. Make 2, Richie, because I will wear that as well, sit right next to you, and we can wear that for Matt Taven and the front row that have the NEW show. Nick's question was, he sent this in on Twitter yesterday, at Nick T. Wrote, follow him on Twitter. He said, Lindsay wanted to ask, when do you think Becky is returning? Mania, SummerSlam, or do you think it'll happen on a regular live show? We talked about Becky 2 weeks ago here on the show. I think she comes back before Mania. I think at Mania would be too late. I'd be surprised if she's not back for Mania. There were reports, oh yeah, she's going to be involved in a high-profile match at Mania. Well, it's mid-February and she's not back yet. But to be fair, Mania's later. She doesn't need to be back right now. If she faces Lyra at WrestleMania, then I get why she's not back yet. I hope she does. She's not facing Rhea, we know that. Unless she comes back and enters the chamber or, gets involved, and then it becomes a 4-way with Bianca and Rio and Io and Becky. That would just be stupid. I'd much rather have Becky face Lyra at WrestleMania for that Women's Intercontinental Championship. So hopefully that's where they're going with it, and that's when she comes back. And if she does, she'll probably be back in the next couple of weeks. And I'll get to the chat. I'll get to the chat in a second. Nick's second question was, with the recent transfer of, excuse me, I'm having congestion issues now. With the recent transfer of Damian Priest to SmackDown, where do you see him falling in ongoing stories? Also, do you see Jacob Fatu going head-to-head with Solo Sikoa and going on his own to take out any and all who stand in his way? With Priest, the rumor was him and McIntyre. I feel like that'd be fine, but we've seen it. I don't really care to see that again. I would rather see Priest versus Nakamura for the United States Championship at WrestleMania. So here's what I see happening, or would like to see happen, I guess. Priest and Nakamura, U.S. Championship. And then you're asking, well, what about LA Knight? LA Knight wants the belt back. What do you do with him? LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre is what I would do. And then Solo versus Fatu, one-on-one. Now, who's the babyface there? Probably Solo, but I feel like more people like Jacob. So I don't know. I'm not really sure who would be the babyface there. Maybe they can let the fans decide. I'm not really sure, but I definitely see us getting Fatu and Solo one-on-one at WrestleMania. So that's a good idea, though. I like Damian Priest being on SmackDown. That's totally the best place for him to be right now, for sure. Richie said, bet what size shirt are you? LOL. It depends on the size of the shirt, like the quality of the shirt, but medium or large, I will take one. I will pay you for that shirt, Richie. You can make it a medium, and I'll probably, I will totally wear it. That should work. Mike has said, book Becky against Lyra in an open challenge, IC title match, similar to Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, WrestleMania 38. Not a bad idea, but I feel like you should build that match up. They have so much history that's a match that should get a proper build. For Lyra to hold an open challenge and then lose, she's not even a heel. So it would just make her look like a loser. You know what I mean? For her to open that, issue an open challenge and then lose to another babyface that's a bigger star than she is, that deserves an actual build given their history. So not a bad idea, but that match, not me, that match deserves an actual build in my opinion. Johnny said, how do you feel about MMA-style wrestling matches? I mean, the Ronda Shayna one was well worked, but it was boring. It depends what it is. I love the Fight Pit in NXT. I thought that was cool. Not a big fan of the Lucha Underground. I wish. NXT Underground format, I think it's fine. I preferred the Fight Pit. So they're hit or miss. It depends who's involved, the story, the match. So, I don't know. Lions Den was cool, but NXT Underground, that's not the same thing. Abu Sika said, Becky saw Charlotte winning the Rumble and probably was like, nah, I'm good on that, LOL. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame her. She's like, I'm not getting that heat. No thanks. Lindsay said, oh, good, that's my opinion too. I want her and Lyra at WrestleMania. Yep, see, Lindsay agrees. Lindsay also wants that match. I totally agree. Micah said, guys, please hit the like button. It turns blue when you do it. All right, yeah, listen to Mike. Hit that like button. If you haven't already, if you're here or have joined or watching after the fact, like the video. I cannot stress that enough. I would appreciate it. Super Pony says, is Sheamus never going to win the IC title? It looks like they're doing AJ versus Breaker at Mania. As others have said, and I got to stress this again, Sheamus re-signed for 5 years a couple of months ago. There is plenty of time for him to win that championship. I'm not saying wait 5 years, but honestly, he doesn't need to win it at Mania. At least this Mania. You can hold off on it. AJ and Breaker seems to be where they're going. Honestly, I would prefer to see Break at Penta. I don't even know if Sheamus is on the card, to be honest with you. I think lazy or multi-man matches are lazy. We're probably going to get a multi-team match for the tag titles on the SmackDown side. We might get a triple threat with the women on Raw. Man, there's just too many multi-man, too many people. Like, I feel like that shit's lazy. So I don't really want to see that, personally. But AJ and Breaker one-on-one would be great. I feel like we're going to get AJ, Breaker, Dom, Sheamus, and like some sort of multi-man match, which would cook, but I just would rather see singles matches or more singles matches than not. We don't need WrestleMania 2000 all over again. And AJ, I would have him face Logan Paul. We talked about Logan Paul earlier. You don't like him, Super Pony? Well, guess what? He's good in the ring. He's getting a Mania match. Him and AJ one-on-one would make sense. I think AJ eliminated Logan Paul, right? No, I'm sorry. Logan Paul eliminated AJ. So you can always go back to that if you wanted to for Mania. Abu Sika said, as a match, how do you foresee Jacob versus Solo match quality? Probably not great. Jacob is great, so he could carry Solo, and that's not to say Solo is bad, but Solo hasn't had a whole lot of like great matches, so I'm not anticipating that to be a barn burner. It would probably be more storyline based, to be honest with you, than about like the in-ring shit, but it would probably be decent. Richie said, if Jacob turns on Solo, does Tama Tonga go with him or stay? I think Tama Tonga stays with Jacob. I think Solo would go solo, pun intended. I think Tama Tonga and Jacob stay a unit, and then Solo probably goes on his own. Probably as a babyface. I'm just not sure how many people would cheer him. Micah said, yeah, that makes sense, GSM. Lyra and Becky build-up would be better. I didn't think about it that way. Richie said, gotta hear him say, I hate you, Solo, before he turns, though. I agree. They kind of teased it on Valentine's Day, no less. Jacob was like, or Solo said to Jacob, I love you, Jacob. And then Jacob did not reciprocate the love on Valentine's Day of all days. He just said nothing. But it's coming, though. Richie also said 1 like equals 1 prayer for the GOAT, Tongaloa. I agree. Get Tongaloa back, our GOAT from the bloodline. If you like the video, it's another way that Tongaloa might come back quicker. Daniel Malcolm said, I have a friend that just caught on to, you said Lucy's Underground. I would love, what's Lucy's Underground? I would love to watch that show. That sounds interesting. But Lucha Underground is also a good show, too. He said he swears it's the best shit he's ever seen. He's so hooked. LOL. Dude, Lucha Underground is great. It's amazing. It's incredible. So he has good taste. In Lucy's Underground and Lucha Underground, he's got good taste. Micah Does It said, yeah. Tomatonga in the chat. Johnny said, do you want a Sheamus versus John Cena tables rematch? No. A regular match, yes. Tables match, no. I know what you're talking about, TLC 09. A regular match I feel like would be better. For all time's sake, maybe. Who knows? Richie said, so no AJ versus Braun? No. I mean, in my head, no, but I feel like that's what they're going to do. I honestly would rather see Braun and AJ one-on-one than a multi-man spot fest. I just feel like they do too many of those at WrestleMania every year. And you could do 1 or 2, but to do like 5 is just too much. So AJ and Braun we will get at some point in my head, just not at Mania. I think you do Braun and Penta, and then AJ and Logan, but they're probably going to do AJ and Breaker or a multi-man match with the 2 of them, so that would be totally fine. Mike has said, if Brock returns, would you be more excited to see Lesnar versus Fatu, or Lesnar versus Breaker, or Lesnar versus Gunther, or Lesnar versus Dominic? Definitely Lesnar versus Fatu. Lesnar and Breaker actually might be, that's a good question, actually. Those are all good ones. I'm going to go Lesnar and Fatu. I feel like Lesnar and Breaker wouldn't be an actual match. Fatu can do more shit in the ring than Breaker can, I feel like. So I'm going to go Lesnar Fatu. Johnny said a 6-man TLC match at Mania would be good. I would go, 6-man, like 3 teams. Yeah, I agree. 6, like, man, tag team, or 6-man. What are you talking about? Like 6-man, every man for themselves? I don't know about that. It wouldn't be bad, but I would make the SmackDown Tag Team title match a TLC match. Motor City, DIY, Profits, and a TLC match. We have not gotten a proper TLC match, not counting the NXT scares, whatever the fuck that shit is called. Not counting that shit, we haven't gotten a proper TLC match since, I think, 2020. A long time, so I would do it for the SmackDown Tag Title match at Mania, personally. Mike said, I always wanted to see Lesnar versus Sheamus feud. I did too, many, many years ago. We're never going to get it at this point, but when Lesnar first came back, I wanted to see it. I think they had a match on a house show. Never on TV, one-on-one. They've, like, interacted, but never had a match on TV, unfortunately. Lindsay said, side note, where's Alexis? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know why she hasn't joined us in the chat for whatever reason. She texted me a TikTok, but that's not telling me where she is. So she's probably busy right now, I'd imagine. Usually she's here every single time. She's like the one person that's not here today, shockingly. Hopefully she can join us on the next one. Daniel, I'll ask her later. Daniel said, Tongaloa cover athlete, 2K25, doing it right with the Bloodline version. I agree. Yeah, Tongaloa. He's the cover athlete. They knew what they were doing. They knew the assignment. Richie said Alexis doesn't have notifications on. She definitely does. Honestly, there's a chance that she might be listening or watching and she just might not be chatting. That is very possible. I would get mad at her if she did not have notifications on. We've only yelled it at her like a million times. He also said Tongaloa for WWE champion. I agree. Daniel said, oh wow, autocorrect jacked me up on that Lucy's Underground LMAO. Yeah. Johnny said, what did you think of Wrestling Society X? I know what it is, have never seen it. I've heard it's fucking crazy. Like weird shit. I know Lucha Underground was probably inspired by that, but I've still never seen Wrestle Society X. Lucha Underground is my shit though. Super Pony said, why can't DIY get over? Is it their awful music? LOL. The music does not help. I think they're doing better with their characters as heels. The booking as baby faces wasn't great. I don't know. They're just not as over as they should be. It's just, I don't know. They're not the same team they were 10 years ago. But the music does not help. I will definitely say that much. Richie said, speaking of music, thoughts on Dakota Kai's entrance music. My wife heard it yesterday and asked, WTF is that? And I called her a fake fan because she debuted it during the IC title finals. Yeah, she did use it during the finals. She debuted it during that tournament. Last night was not the first time. I'm going to be honest with you. I like the new song a lot more than the old one. I think the old one was perfect for her as a heel, but she's not a heel anymore. It's got like a poppy, not Poppy the artist, but like pop music type sound to it. I like the new song. I'm probably in the minority on that. I like it a lot more than her last one, which was good for her as a heel, but she used that song for way too long, and it was not really eliciting much of a reaction. Micah also said, put Money in the Bank back to WrestleMania and put Night of Champions as the pay-per-view before SummerSlam. Good idea or bad idea? Bad idea, because Money in the Bank is such a draw on its own now that at this point, if it was going to be back to Mania, they would have done it by now. So that's not happening. I think on its own, it's fine, because you also have to have a women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which you could do one on each night, honestly. It could work. But I feel like the pay-per-views become such... Money in the Bank is one of the best pay-per-views they do every year. So at this point, it's been so long, just keep it as its own pay-per-view. It's been 15 years since they started doing it as its own show. I would just keep it the way that it is. And the Night of Champions, they have so many belts now that you can't defend every title in one night. They would have like fucking 12, 15 matches, and they're just not doing that. They're not doing 15 matches in one night, nor should they. It's going to turn into an AEW pay-per-view. So probably not. You can do it as a Raw or SmackDown special, or it's a Night of Champions night, all the Raw titles are on the line, all the SmackDown titles are on the line for separate shows. But as a pay-per-view, those days are probably long gone. If you want to do it right, that is. Abushika said, what are your thoughts on how they're booking Delta/Zarya so far? I thought she'd be booked like more of a powerhouse, to be honest with you, but the Sol Ruka tag team has been good, actually. I think they work well together. They have good chemistry. Like the whole TikTok that they put together for the Vengeance Day show. I thought that was good. They're allowing her to show more of her personality, so her booking hasn't been what I thought it would be, and I have no idea what she was doing prior to WWE. I was not following her. I did not know who she was, so she's not the dominant badass that I thought she would be booked as, but what she's doing is not bad. Motor City versus KO and Sammy would be unreal. Maybe someday we get it. That would be a great match. Kumar said, who do you envision ever retiring Brock from wrestling? I'd go with Chad Gable. There is below zero chance that Chad Gable ever retires Brock. Breaker, maybe. I could see Breaker being the one, honestly. Chad Gable, if Brock were to face Chad, the match would be over before it even starts. And I love Chad Gable, but that's just the truth. That's just the truth. Tables, ladders, and chairs, and stairs. Oh, God, don't remind me. That was from TLC 2014. That was awful. Big Show and Eric Rowan, I believe. Just an awful gimmick. They never did again, actually, I don't believe. I don't think they ever did it again after that. Richie also said, I just hope Alexis heard the Ava Rain slander in the Four Roots One Tree comments earlier. If she didn't, I will direct her back to that. I don't know what the timestamp is on that, but I will tell her to go back and listen to that. Micah said Chris Jericho will return to WWE and he will be over. When does that happen, I guess he means, and who should be his retirement opponent? When does that happen? It won't be for another few years. I know he re-signed to the AEW in 2022 for another 5 years, I think. At that point, he should absolutely fucking leave AEW. Will he? I don't think he will. He'll probably stay. Why would he? He has all the creative freedom in the world. What he thinks he's doing is amazing. In WWE, they would not give him nearly as much creative freedom to do whatever he wants because they would tell him, hey, bro, this shit is garbage. You're not doing that. Tony Khan just won't tell him that, so it's not going to happen. He's probably not coming back anytime soon, if only for a Hall of Fame induction down the road. But who would retire Chris Jericho, aside from the fans? Kevin Owens would be nice because they have so much history. Kevin Owens just destroys him. That would be ideal. Johnny says, do you have a watch list of past matches and events? Like a certified watch list? No. I did do at the beginning of COVID a certified list of stuff you should watch from the WWE Network. That was an excerpt from WrestleRant Radio. So just look up like WWE Network watch list here on the channel. You'll probably find it with like pay-per-views I would recommend that you watch. And a lot of the matches I would recommend are probably on that list. Richie said, He said, same here. The new song fits. We might be in the minority too. I think we probably are. Micah says, it seems like as long as you got AEW in your DNA and you go back to WWE, you get a big push. Yeah, seemingly. I mean, it sends a message like, oh, yeah, we're going to take your talent and push them, whether they're good or not. Not necessarily, though. Sean Spears has not really been pushed at all. Lexus King has not really been pushed at all. So it's not like just because you were in AEW, you're going to get pushed. But Ethan Page was, Jade has, Punk, Cody, Jericho hopefully doesn't get pushed in 5 years. The guy's going to be old as fuck, and he's also not just going to be great at all. So hopefully not. Johnny said, Def Rebel would appreciate you liking their music. I mean, there's some songs they've done that are great. I actually like that new song. We joke about people getting Def Rebeled, but I think Dakota Kai might have one of the few songs that she got her song changed, and it was an improvement, at least in my opinion. Y said, thank you for joining us. Y, great to see you in the chat. They said, I thought Def Rebel's contract was supposed to be expiring. It could still be. I don't know when it expires. I don't know when people thought it would be up. Hopefully it still does. Def Rebel misses more than they do hit, Richie says, so they better take that bit of gratitude and run to the LOL. Def Rebel needed to get released years ago. And also the Zarya Sol Ruka pairing has been hilarious. It's giving Team Hell No vibes. I agree with that. Y said Brock would F5 Chad Gable back to Shorty G. Yeah, that's very accurate. Richie said Chad Gable in a David versus Goliath match with Lesnar would be fire, though. Yeah, that would. If they actually treated Gable seriously, then yes. Otherwise, it would be a complete squash. Johnny said thumbtacks, chairs, and stairs, or chairs and ladders and chairs. Oh, God, that sounds awful. No thanks. Maybe in like GCW, but not in WWE, please. Super Pony said, still can't believe Gable did not beat Sammy for the IC title. Hey, speaking my language, he should have. I know they wanted to wait to give it to Breaker. Gable should have won it at least once. You could have always given Breaker the belt down the road. Breaker did not need to win it when he did. You could have had Gable win the belt, Jey Uso wins it from Gable, and then Breaker wins it from Uso. And then nothing changes. But they didn't do that. It's fucking dumb. Gable should have absolutely won the belt. I think we can all agree on that. Micah said, I've just lost my believability in KO after his feud with Cody, and him losing so many matches and him and Balor are in the ring are great. They just lose. Yeah, no, I can understand it. They just lose whenever it matters most. At least KO makes you care. Not that Finn doesn't, but Finn feels more like Pin Balor, as people have said. He feels far more like Pin Balor than he does Finn Balor. Let's put it that way. Johnny said, do you have a watch list of matches and events that you haven't seen that you will watch? No, I don't. That's a good idea, though. I should probably do that. And then maybe we can take some of those matches or shows that I haven't seen and then watch it here on the channel. I mean, I've seen everything from WWE, so I mean, there's really nothing in WWE that I haven't watched that I would put on a list like that. It would only really be other companies. And then typically, if there's something from another company that I haven't seen, I usually will have watched it by now. Like Unbreakable 05, Styles, Joe, and Daniels, I had never seen before 10 years ago. Then I went back and watched it and loved it. So it, it depends. I guess it kind of depends on, what we're talking about. Abusika said, what do you think is Lexus King's ceiling? I want to say mid-card, but I just feel like they would only push him at lower mid-card, because that's what he's been so far in NXT. And if you're not even getting pushed at mid-card in NXT, he's probably not going to get pushed at all on the main roster. So I'm going to say lower mid-card, but, mid-card would be generous for Lexus King. Mikey said, besides The Rock, who are the top 3 WWE wrestlers that are doing better outside of WWE right now? Batista, Rock, Cena, probably. I mean, better than like when they were in WWE or just like currently? I mean, those are a few. Maven is far more successful on YouTube doing the content creation stuff than he ever was in WWE. Stevie Richards, another one. I remember very little of his WWE run, but he's been very good at like the podcasting stuff. Stevie Richards is great. There's a few, but those would be the main ones. Definitely Maven, though. I think Maven honestly tops the list beyond The Rock. Y said, is it understated that the Kurt Angle importance of Brock Taker? Don't know what you're talking about. Kurt Angle importance of Brock Taker? What, like in a match or something? I don't know what you're talking about. The Magic Plumeyer joining us in the chat saying Pin Balor question mark. Yeah, he's Pin Balor, all right. Also, hey Graham, hey chat. Hey Magic Plumeyer, thanks for joining us. Great to see you in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Super Pony said, KO at least wins on TV. Finn literally never wins anything, bro. Finn won one singles match in 2024 against Dragon Late, and that's it. Otherwise, you'd have to go back to 2023. He's a fucking loser. You cannot compare him to Kevin Owens. You just can't. It's not the same thing. I love you, Micah, but it's at least KO wins matches. Not Micah. Micah wins at everything. Finn doesn't win anything on his own. Johnny said, amazing idea. He said, New Japan, AEW, or AJPW in Pro Wrestling Noah definitely got all-time classics. Yeah, maybe we can rewatch those at some point here on the channel. Not a bad idea. Let's see. Micah said, Mandy Rose, we all know why, because of her assets. Oh, like doing well. Yeah. Is she doing better outside, like financially? Yeah, definitely. She's definitely far more successful. If you want to quantify success with money, then yeah, she's definitely doing better outside of WWE than she was in WWE, I'm sure. Johnny said, your favorite Shawn Michaels WrestleMania match? Him and Taker, 25. I love the 26 match. Him and Angle is great. Him and Angle might be I don't know if that's my favorite, but it's up there. That's probably top 3. Michaels 25 with Taker. Taker 26, because it main event, and I love that match. And then also him and Angle, 21. The Flair match is a guilty pleasure. Triple threat at WrestleMania 20 is amazing. Those are the main ones. Johnny also said your favorite Kurt Angle match in WWE and TNA. WWE, probably the Shawn match at WrestleMania 21, to be honest with you. There's a lot. In TNA, AJ Styles. Any match that he had with AJ Styles was probably my favorite. I'd have to really think about that. That's a good question, though. I can't come up with an answer off the top of my head. Mike has said Mania 25, Mania 23 against Cena, and Mania 24 against Flair. All good ones. All good ones. Those are your favorite Shawn Michaels top 3 WrestleMania matches, Micah says. Let's see. Millennial Noob, who was here earlier, sent in a question beforehand and asked, who will Lyra Valkyria and Chelsea Green defend their respective women's mid-card titles against at WrestleMania? Do you think that both mid-card title reigns have been underwhelming as of late? RJ also asked, on a similar note, what is going on in the booking of the women's mid-card titles? Both lost in the Elimination Chamber qualifiers, and they have zero direction. So, to get back to the title of this video that we've already acknowledged a few times already, but now we can really delve into it. The booking of the mid-card belts has not been great so far. It has been far from great. At least Chelsea, she plays her role well, but she's stuck in a feud that no one gives a shit about. It's been dried out. Her and Michin or whatever, it's been done to death. They've had a million matches. No one really cares. I'm just at a point where she needs to be working with new people. So I've liked Chelsea as U.S. champion. Lyra has barely been on Raw. She's had one fucking match. She was in the Rumble, got tossed out anticlimactically by Ivan Nile, who she's not even facing for the championship, by the way. Dakota Kai is the new #1 contender. So she's not even facing Ivy Nile next. They have really done a poor job of getting Lyra over as champion. So I'm not going to say the titles are past a point of no return. They have botched them both so far, more so the IC title than the US title. But they should mean more than they do. Doing a #1 contenders match last night for the IC title was a step in the right direction. Dakota and Ivy had a good match. So they do have direction. We know that we're getting Dakota and Lyra next, which is weird because they were teasing Ivy Nile, so I'm not really sure why they would do that if they're not doing that right away. It's kind of weird to me. But if Dakota and Lyra can have a better match than they did last time with more time, then I'm on board with that. But who does Lyra face in Mania? I'm sticking with Becky because we know Becky's probably not facing Rhea unless something dramatic happens where she comes back and somehow, challenges for the belt without even earning it, which is possible, let's be honest. That could totally happen. I think her and Lyra is a pretty likely shot. Becky and Lyra. Chelsea, I don't know if she defends it at WrestleMania. I think they're going to have maybe the tag titles defended. I would be surprised if we get Chelsea Green at WrestleMania defending that championship. If she were to defend it, it would probably be a multi-women match. Because I was thinking Jordynne Grace, but she's going to NXT, so it's not going to be Jordynne Grace. Charlotte is facing Tiffany. Please do not let it be Michin. I like Michin, but they've done that feud to death. Zelina Vega versus Chelsea is not a Mania-worthy match. I'm sorry. I like Zelina, but that's just not WrestleMania-worthy. That's pre-show shit. Bianca's probably going to be busy. Jade and Naomi will probably be busy with each other. Bayley's on Raw. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm going to say Chelsea does not defend at Mania unless it's a multi-man match and Lyra faces Becky. But the booking of the mid-card women's belts has not been great. We'll talk more about it on Thursday, but I mean, there is some qualifier, and the fact that both champions lost non-title matches last week is not good optics. It just does not look good. Chelsea losing I had less of an issue with, but like with Lyra losing clean, they didn't even have Ivy Nile get involved. When Chelsea lost clean, they didn't even have Michin get involved to further those feuds. They just lost like losers. So, not a fan of that shit, but they can turn things around with better booking and more effort, which has been clearly non-existent so far. Super Pony asked Penta and Rey versus New Day at Mania. That's what it's looking like. I said Penta and Breaker before, but it looks like the more likely match is Penta and Rey versus New Day, which honestly I'm totally fine with because that would be a lot of fun. It gets New Day on the card, Rey on the card. That's better than doing New Day versus like fucking, Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. Like that's not happening. I think it's going to be Penta and Rey versus New Day at Mania, if not Penta versus Breaker. Mike has said we need a modern-day Shane-type character in WWE. We don't have that risk. We don't have that risk-taker or current... Oh, I see what you're saying. When I saw Taker, I thought you meant like Undertaker. But we don't have a risk-taker or current WWE anymore, in current WWE anymore. I mean, the closest thing to Shane that we have in wrestling is Darby Allin. And he ain't coming to WWE. Someone like Shane would be cool. Yeah, WWE doesn't really have that. They need to do things that are not stupid, but like controlled stupid so they don't get hurt. Shane did a lot of dumb stuff that was just stupid. And it was also dangerous. Darby Allin does a lot of dumb shit too. They need someone like that that takes risks, but not too stupid risks, if that makes sense. Maybe they do, and I'm just not remembering correctly. The Magic Plumaire, how do you see Lyra as a heel? Not great, at least not right now. I think having her be a babyface makes more sense. She's never been a heel. NXT UK, NXT Raw, she's never been a heel. Maybe further down the road when you exhaust all other options when she's not getting over as a babyface. But I feel like between the theme song and everything else, she could work as a babyface. But turning her heel now, I don't feel like would be a great idea. Johnny said Shawn should have wrestled AJ Styles instead of that DX versus Brothers of Destruction match. I agree. Had they actually done that match at like the Rumble in 2017, where AJ faced Cena, that was great, but Shawn and AJ would have been amazing. But it's not happening now. The Magic Plumaire said, do you think they should establish which singles women are competing for which title? What do you mean? Well, you said Chelsea is over to an extent, so she's making the U.S. title work. No, I agree with that. Do you think they should establish which singles women are competing for which title? No, I mean like divisions? No, because they can have women flip-flop, like go from the world title to the mid-card belt. They don't need like set-in-stone divisions. That doesn't really make sense. I think what they're doing is fine. They just need to do a better job. Abushika said Lyra's attire always seems to color coordinate with the IC title, LOL. Yeah, Lyra always looks great. Her attire always looks awesome. Richie said, having Dakota and Ivy face off last night kind of shot WWE in the foot. Both women needed that win. Ivy more, since that was the tease direction. Yeah, they both need wins, so it was a weird match to do. But at least it was a good match. And at least if we get Dakota and Lyra again, like I said, they can give them more time, and they can have an amazing match. The Magic Plumaire said Chelsea is also doing more character-wise than Lyra. I agree. Chelsea's had a better run so far than Lyra. They've botched the women's IC title more than the U.S. belt. The U.S. belt I've liked. It's just that the Michin feud is not interesting. They need to end that ASAP. Richie said, how many times are we going to keep seeing Mexican made? I read that as Mexican made for some reason. It's American made. Take L's. I think it's because I saw your next chat that said, but Graham, Zelina's gimmick is that she's Puerto Rican. I like Zelina, but if that's like her entire identity, they need more for people to latch onto and care about than just that. Yeah, we need American made to take less L's. I agree. Maybe at some point they beat the War Raiders or the War Raiders of the tag titles. I don't know. That's not Mania worthy? Yeah, it's not. Chelsea and Zelina Vega is not Mania worthy. I'm sorry. Grunt said, should WWE go back to brand-exclusive pay-per-views? I think it would work much better with Triple H's takeover size shows. No. I wouldn't mind that, but I'm going to say no because I don't want to go back to what we had in 2016 with 2 pay-per-views a month. That was just way too fucking excessive. We already have a lot of shows as it is. So you're saying, like, if they did 1 pay-per-view a month, like what they did back in the day of 20 years ago, honestly, that's not a bad idea. But I just feel like with the way that the pay-per-views work nowadays, where they want to make as much money as possible and put all the stars in one show, that's probably not going to happen. If you were to really make it work, then yes. But that's probably not going to happen. I think the way they're doing it is fine. Pay-per-views that are 5 or 6 cards is cool. If you alternated making like Backlash Raw, the May pay-per-view SmackDown, like what it was back in the day, then sure. But I don't know if business-wise they would want to do that because they wouldn't want to sacrifice, oh, Cody's not on the show, I'm not going to buy it. They probably, Cody's not on every pay-per-view anyway, but you know what I'm saying. They need the cross, like there's a lot of matches that are also Raw versus SmackDown too. So they probably wouldn't want to do it for that reason either. And when you also have big matches on TV, it makes the TVs feel more important. So that's another thing too to keep in mind. So it also benefits Raw and SmackDown to do it the way that they do now, where they do big matches on the Raw after the pay-per-view and the SmackDown before the pay-per-view. That also helps. Mamadou said, thanks for joining us, Mamadou. Great to see you in the chat. They had mentioned Bald HBK wrestling was a wild sight to see. It was. Honestly, I did not mind Bald Shawn Michaels. He doesn't really, he has more hair now. Like, he grew his hair back out mostly, but I thought Bald Shawn Michaels looked fine. Honestly, it wasn't Shawn Michaels with hair, obviously. Different, I get it. It's different. I thought he looked cool. Bald Shawn Michaels, but he immediately went back to growing his hair, so it is what it is, but, who really gives a shit, I guess. But it was a wild sight to see at Crown Jewel. That match sucked. That's one of the worst matches from the last 10 years easily. DX and Brothers of Destruction from Crown Jewel 2018. Abu Sika said, didn't they say Nikki Bella was back for more than the Rumble? They did, but that doesn't mean that she won't be. She might still be, she just hasn't been back yet. Maybe for Mania, maybe after Mania, we don't know yet. Super Pony says, Cross, just because I feel like it came together too last minute too, so they probably don't have they probably don't have any creative made for her. Nikki Bella and Chelsea, honestly, that might work as a Mania match. I don't know if I would really want to see it, but I feel like Nikki Bella and Chelsea, that could work as a Mania match, actually, now that I think about it. Super Pony said, Cross is doing great character work right now. If only he was better in the ring. I think Cross is good in the ring, but yeah, his character work is great. If he was better in the ring, the guy would be a world champion. I feel like he should still be pushed more than he is. He's good enough in the ring where it's not like he's bad in the ring. His matches aren't just the most exciting, but his character work is amazing. And I feel like if they can tap into that more and get him over more and working with more top talents, then he's on the right track. Johnny said, out of both companies, what story has been the best this year so far? Probably Tony and Mariah May. Trying to think of, from WWE, Cody and KO was good. That ended at the Rumble. We're only 6 weeks into the year. Owens and Sammy's also been great. So probably Owens, Sammy, and KO, if not Mariah and Tony has been excellent. Trying to think of what else. What else has been a great story? Everything with Punk, Rollins, and Roman has been intertwining, has been exciting. I've enjoyed that, so those would probably be the top 3. Mamadou said, how would you feel about New Day adding Ridge Holland for more heat? Oh, I see what you're saying. Ridge just is not a good fit for the group. I know because he injured Big E, but honestly, they might want to move away from that. Although they have acknowledged it a few times on NXT that he injured Big E by accident. They have leaned into it, interestingly. That would be funny, but I just feel like long-term, I don't know if I would love that. Yeah, Average Grunt said, yeah, once a month for the brand-exclusive pay-per-views. Potentially. I just feel like they found a formula that mostly works. They're probably not going to alternate if they don't have to. It's not a terrible idea, though. Johnny said, not just wrestling, but we have too much of a surplus of content nowadays. I miss AEW only having 4 pay-per-views a year. Yeah, there's a lot of content out there. Just with TVs and stuff like that, TV shows and movies, there's just a lot of shit to watch. I get it. I miss AEW also having 4 pay-per-views a year as well. I totally agree. I miss the 4 pay-per-views for AEW, but the monthly pay-per-view schedule, if they can make them worthwhile, it works. If not, then it's a problem. Kadeem G joining us. What's going on, Kadeem? Hope you're doing well. He said, hey, Graham, do you think that Triple H adding more championships He's been adding championships way too much. WWE has 21 titles. Yeah, they have too many titles, but like at least they got rid of the, the fucking, oh my God, what was I going to say? The 24/7 title, the Cruiserweight title, they got rid of that shit. If you include NXT, I assume is what you mean. I mean, the titles usually, they usually make sense. Like the women's mid-card belts are cool. I think you could have started with one and then expanded to two. I would still get rid of the women's tag titles. I still feel like those serve no purpose. We have the women's mid-card belts now. We don't really need the tag titles, so I would get rid of those. All the other belts kind of serve a purpose, though. 2 world titles for the men, 2 world titles for the women, 2 mid-card for the men, 2 mid-card for the women. I feel like that makes sense. Like the Crown Jewel Championship is dumb. I would get rid of the tag titles for the women. They do have 2 tag titles for the men and on both brands, one on Raw, one on SmackDown. The NXT titles make sense. I would get rid of the Heritage Cup though. That title is fucking pointless. Beyond that stuff, I feel like they have every title at least serves a purpose for the most part. Grunt said they should have done Triple H, or rather Shawn Michaels versus Bryan in 2013, post Hell in a Cell over that Brothers of Destruction mess. If Shawn was going to come back for any match, I would have preferred for it to be Styles. But Michaels and Bryan did have a story. That would have been amazing. I don't know when you would have done it, though. Like, Michaels, I don't think would have come back. I mean, I guess he came back on a fucking Saudi show. Maybe it's Survivor Series? Because it wasn't happening at Mania. Bryan ended up facing Triple H instead. So I don't know when it would have happened. But I agree. We all thought we were getting it at that point, and it didn't happen. That was disappointing. Kumar said, it pissed me off when people were saying that Shawn Michaels was disrespecting Taker by having another match. Taker was in the damn match. He was clearly fine with it. Plus, Crown Jewel is non-canon fan fiction. I agree with that. We will not consider that match canon. That match sucked. Yeah, I don't think Taker really gave a shit. I mean, Shawn came back probably for the paycheck and because he felt like he could do it. Taker came back for one too many matches. He told me that himself when I interviewed him the other day. Like we said earlier, that interview going up tomorrow here on the channel, me and Undertaker, so check that out. I am going one-on-one with The Undertaker, as Richie mentioned earlier, so I didn't ask him about that, but Taker even said himself in that chat. He came back for one too many matches, and it was just, if he came back for one too many matches, he probably didn't give a shit that Shawn broke his retirement, to be honest with you. He probably saw the paycheck, was like, hey, why the fuck not? Let's do it, and did it. So I don't think Taker gives a shit. I think the fans care more about that, and I understand why. I do too. I don't think Taker himself probably cared all that much. Mamadou said, you never know until you try. I didn't see Dom being a fit for the Judgment Day beforehand, and lo and behold. Yeah, that's true. Maybe Lyra ends up being a great heel at some point. I just don't see it right now. I would try it down the road. At least with Dom, he was a babyface for like 2 years before they turned him. And he was a boring-ass babyface. Dom as a heel has been amazing, though. Richie said, 14 likes, hell yeah. Appreciate the support, guys. Be sure to like the video if you haven't already. Means a lot. Grunt said, I'd say AEW is done so far for the most part. I'd say AEW has done so far for the most part pay-per-view wise. I don't know what you mean by that. Johnny said AEW has too many male titles. Yeah, they have like a continental, an intercontinental, or an international. I'd merge those two titles at least. The 6-man also serve no purpose. They mean nothing pretty much. So I'd get rid of those. Let's see. Super Pony says, if KO left in 2021, do you think he would have been AEW World Champion at some point? Yes, I do. I feel like if Adam Cole was probably going to win the belt in 2023 before he got hurt, I feel like Kevin Owens would probably have been World Champion. I feel like there's a higher chance. Here's an opinion for you. I feel like Kevin Owens had a higher chance of winning the AEW World Championship had he moved over than he does currently in WWE of winning another World Championship. Just my opinion. Richie said, do you see WWE's new Evolve series getting titles, or would that just be silly considering it's supposed to be the new level up of sorts? I think they are getting titles. I think it's unnecessary. They haven't even aired the first episode, and they're doing fucking titles already. Like, I heard there was a report they're debuting a new championship for Evolve. I think that's fucking stupid, but I think they are going to do that. Maybe down the road you could, but to do it right away, that's just stupid. Mamadou said, you think we will ever see Punk on a Saudi show? I do. I think at some point, all of them, like everyone that said that they wouldn't do one, ended up doing it. Cena, Sammy, Owens, among other people. They all ended up doing it. I do think Punk will either be in the Rumble next year or will at least work a Saudi show at some point down the road. I do think it's going to happen. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you in the chat, I know you've been here before. Great to see you in the chat. He said, honestly, Graham, Kevin has no one to blame but himself. I'm not upset with Kevin Owens' spot in the company. So, I mean, yeah, he could have left for AEW, but how would have that worked out long term? I'm glad he stayed. I think Kevin Owens worked out great because he stayed. Headline 2 Manias, got a little winged eagle run, not really, but the tag title stuff was great. I think I've enjoyed Owens. I'm not really, you say no one to blame but himself, but I think he's had a great run. I'm not really blaming him for anything, honestly. I think he made the right choice in staying. Also, he did what was best for his family. He's already established in WWE. And AEW has cooled off significantly. Who knows? Maybe he would have been in the same spot that Adam Cole currently finds himself in. But we don't know. It just didn't happen, so it's impossible to say. Super Pony said, I really hope we get Cody versus Punk instead of Cody versus Cena. That match does nothing for me. Cody and Cena I like, but I like Cody and Punk a lot more. I agree. That's a much more appealing match. Richie said, speaking of titles, do you think NEW needs a women's championship? That being Northeast Wrestling, of course. It's bothered me that their lack of female presence still lingers in their promotion despite its surge in popularity in recent years. I completely agree. The fact that they do not have a women's title is just wrong, to put it lightly. They were starting a tournament to crown a new champion a few years ago, like they were doing tournament matches, and then that went nowhere. They never followed up on it, and there's been no mention of it since. They have the obligatory one women's match a show that goes like 5 minutes, and no one cares because the women are barely on those shows. It's like WWE like 15 years ago. Eventually, WWE started featuring their women more. A lot of promotions feature the women pretty prominently. Northeast Wrestling, for whatever reason, has not and doesn't. And maybe never will. I don't know if that's on the promoter or what. They just do not prominently feature women. And there's a lot of great indie women to go around to feature on those shows, but they just don't do it. I don't know why. I know Megan Bain through NEW. She just debuted in AEW. I remember her from NEW when she was there. She was probably going to win that first NEW Women's World Championship. And they just never really followed through with that tournament. So she won the House of Glory Women's Championship instead. Let's see. You had mentioned in the chat, if Jay beats Gunther, would you do Sammy versus Jay down the road? You can do that, but I don't think Sammy beats Jay. I think Sammy, as we've said before, should beat Drew to win his first world championship in WWE. Or Owens, not Jay. I think that wouldn't get as much of a reaction because Jay's so beloved and Sammy's beloved. They do, And then it's not like they're John Cena and Cody Rhodes. I just don't think that really works. They're too similar of characters for that to be how Sammy beats Jay. But to do the match at all might work. Jay might give Sammy a title shot and Sammy loses, but I wouldn't have Sammy beat him. I would have Sammy beat Drew instead. Grunt said, in regards to you saying AEW needs to have more quality shows to justify having monthly pay-per-views, I'm saying that they have. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense. Richie said, I'd imagine that was part of the recent deal with WWE. I can't see Punk at Saudi. Sammy was different as Saudi and Syria have a poor relationship / conflict for years. I still think Punk will get over it, honestly. Like, I still feel like I know why he doesn't want to go there. I totally get it. I'm just saying I still feel like there's a pretty big chance if they need him there for like the Rumble. Like, he won't be on the Rumble next year. That's just fucking stupid. But I don't know. I guess we'll find out next year and in the years that follow. If Tiffany, Abu Shika said, if Tiffany beats Charlotte, will you have the Trick Eddie reaction? Yes, I would, because I think Charlotte's beating Tiffany. So if Charlotte loses to Tiffany, I will have the Trick Eddie reaction, where I will be like, what the fuck? Maybe we can live stream my reactions while I sit in the press box in Mania, and we can chat during Mania while I'm on YouTube here. I feel like that would be interesting. I don't know if it's logistically possible for me to do that, but it's an idea. We can consider it. I don't know if enough people in the press box would want to hear me fucking talking to you guys while we're on the stream. I'd have to be silent. I don't know if that really makes for great content. It probably wouldn't make for great content at all, but it's something to consider. I'd be talking to myself and other people would be like, dude, can that guy shut the fuck up? Anyway, Richie said, NEW is insanely tone deaf with a lack of women. Like you said, there's a crop of talent on the indies, but they still refuse, and it's mind-boggling. I agree. I see plenty of women and little girls at those shows, too. They need some type of representation. I completely agree. It's just crazy that it hasn't already happened, and the company's been around for like 25, 30 years. Kumar said, what do you think of Jay White? I say he is the most underrated guy in AEW and should be a guy that the company builds around along the lines of Kenny and MJF. He's had a pretty good run. I feel like he should be bigger. I agree. Like when he was wasting time in the trios division last year, feuding with like fucking Billy Gunn, that shit was awful. But I like Jay White. He is underrated to a certain extent. At least he's on the show being featured now, which is good. He was in the world title match at World's End. I'd prefer to see him as world champion over Jon Moxley personally, but that's just me. Super Pony said Sammy beating KO for his first world title is cinema. Yeah, that, but he's also never beaten Drew, too, so there is a story there for him beating Drew, so either one I'm fine with. Richie said, if Charlotte beats Tiffany, I'm personally going to HQ to do a one-man protest. I mean, I would protest with you, but I'm already relegated to the idea that Charlotte is winning, so I can't even be mad. I know Charlotte is probably winning that match. If she doesn't, I'll be happy. If she does win, I'll be disappointed, but I'll just, like, be here. Like, I'll just be like, okay. Just because I'm already expecting it, you know what I mean? Johnny said, are you interested in a TBS title match between Monet and Camille? I mean, I would have been, but they've, like, buried Camille, it feels like. The booking of Camille has been astronomically terrible. They waited many months to bring her in. She did nothing. I liked the pairing with Monet, but she was never really portrayed as a threat. And then I think she broke her arm. They made her look like a loser, and now she's off the show. Like, that is how you sum up Camille's run in a nutshell. It has sucked. So at this point, I'm not even really sure if I care about Monet versus Camille, because I don't think Camille's winning anyway. I'm not sure if anyone else would care about that match at this point. They may have at one point a while ago, once upon a time. At this point, they probably wouldn't. Richie said PRB potty break. I've been sitting at my desk for a minute now, LOL. Yeah, we should probably wrap up. Soon. I got to go eat and do some other stuff. Abu Sika said, are you going to make the Eddie Trick reaction a short? Daniel said that too. Daniel left a comment on the video and said, you should make that a short. Maybe I will. I should make that a short here on the channel and just, you guys can go back to it whenever you have a, reaction to share. Like, that was my reaction. I was literally like, what the fuck? Like, Eddie beat Trick? Maybe I should make that a short. I'll go back and I'll have to download the video and shit and make that a short of me reacting to Eddie Thorpe beating Trick Williams. 13OIRD said, responding to the video title, yes, the entire women's mid-card is terrible. Just replace them with the NXT women's roster. They are killing it. Not a bad idea. The women's mid-card, I don't know if it's terrible. They have good, talent. They're just not really utilizing them as best as they should. The NXT mid-card women's division is pretty good, though. I mean, Stephanie's great. They have a lot of women in NXT. It's a pretty good way to, kind of fill the void, I suppose. You had mentioned, where is Thea Hale? I have no idea. They broke up Chase U, and she has not been around since, which is disappointing because she had her best match ever against Roxanne Perez 6-7 months ago. She has not wrestled on the show since. That is fucking criminal. It sounds like they just don't have plans for her, honestly. Johnny said Jay White was better in New Japan, especially from an in-ring perspective. I agree with that. Jay White's still great in AEW, but I feel like he was a better overall star and a bigger overall package in New Japan. He might have been a bigger star in a smaller pond, to be honest with you, but he was still great in New Japan, and is still very good now. Super Pony said Big Jim is better than... Excuse me. I got congested for a second. Super Pony said Big Jim is better than Yeet Man. I don't know about that. I think Jimmy Uso is probably better in the ring than Jay, but Jay is just so much more over. I just, like, Jimmy winning the U.S. title, to me, I would not give a shit about. I would just not care, personally. I just don't care about that at all. So I think he's probably a better overall wrestler, but Jay Uso is more of a complete package. And then Abu Sika said Big Jim is indeed better than Yeet Man in a lot of ways. I mean, he is. I think a lot of people thought he'd be a bigger breakout star than Jay like 10 years ago. And then that never really happened. And then Jay Uso just got way more over. I think Jimmy is better on the mic. He's better in the ring. But I just don't really care about Jay. But because Jay is more over and he has more of a connection, there's more matches I want to see Jay have than Jimmy. Jay's not nearly as over. He's liked. But when Jay has matches, I just don't give a fuck. And he's also not book great anyway. He's winning more matches now, but Jay is more interesting to me than Jimmy, in my opinion. Abu Sika also said, Big Jim is better and more natural on the mic. That is true. But Jay's connection overrides that. So Jay might be more one-dimensional, but because he's more over, that makes him a bigger star. That's just how it works, and I like Jay because of that more. Abu Sika said, I wonder how much the injury / second DUI affected Jimmy. The injury, I don't know. The DUI, nothing at all, honestly. Like, even Jay's gotten DUIs, I believe. These people get pushed regardless, specifically the Usos. They're part of the bloodline. They're Roman's family. DUI or not, they were going to be pushed in the same spots. They would probably be in the same spots now that they were always going to be regardless as part of this bloodline storyline. The injury may have affected his in-ring ability. That is possible. But I don't really think their spots would have been much different. I mean, if you think about it, when Jimmy was gone from the show, that was when they pushed Jey Uso. And had Jimmy not gotten hurt, Jay probably doesn't get that same push on his own. And when that push first started, I didn't really give a shit. But then we all got really invested in Jay, and the push worked out great. So it is a big what-if scenario. If Jimmy doesn't get hurt, do we still care about Jay on his own? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure if we do. We might care about the Usos more, collectively, but I don't know if we care about them more individually, because we care about Jay because of the character arc that he had while Jimmy was gone. That was a big part of that story. So that's a good question. I don't know. We'll never know. Super Pony said, like Drew said, if Jimmy said yeet first, he'd be in Jay's position. I mean, he's not entirely wrong. And Abu Sika said, Jimmy did say yeet first, ironically. He did. You're right. He did. But Jey Uso capitalized on it more. He also said someone posted on a clip from 2020 or 2021, Super Pony just mentioned this, of Jimmy on SmackDown wearing a yeet hoodie. Yeah, Jimmy was saying it first. They're not, like, consistently. But Jay made it more of part of his character arc, made it into a catchphrase, and WWE fans love catchphrases, so that's why it worked. It was a great catchphrase, and it worked out perfectly. And Jay just had a better character arc. That's the thing. Jimmy did not have the same character arc. Yeah, we talk about Yeet being over and people love Jay, but they also love the character of Jay and what he's gone through as part of the bloodline and with Roman and his brother. Jimmy didn't have that same character arc. He had a character arc, but not nearly as good as Jay's. That is as much to do with it as the catchphrase does. The catchphrase even more so, I imagine, because WWE fans love the chant stuff. I get that. But the character arc was a big part of it. Kumar said, I found it so strange that people got so mad at Jay about winning the Rumble. When that's what the Rumble should be used for, the one thing an upper mid-card guy needs to be promoted to real main eventer. I agree. That's why I didn't have an issue with the outcome, because it elevated Jay, and it was a popular outcome. So, at least in person. You mentioned that wrestler that owned the Yeet trademark should have held out for more money, LOL. I agree. Whenever that was in late 2023, that person would have made a lot more money had they held out on it. Because Jey Uso, I mean, he still would have been a big star without the Yeet trademark, without the Yeet catchphrase, but that's been a big part of his shtick and why he's been so over in the last year and a half. So you're definitely right about that. Last three questions here from the document that I'll run through before we wrap up. At Iwagu91 from Twitter, Josh Alexander will likely sign with AEW. Your thoughts on that? I think it's fine. I feel like he would have had a better chance in WWE, which is weird to say. I just feel like at AEW, he's going to be lost in the shuffle. In WWE, I mean, long term, I feel like he might be better in AEW. But in NXT, I feel like he could have a great run, reunite or feud with Ethan Page. In AEW, they've brought in enough people to where I'm not sure that there's really a spot for him that makes sense where he would be pushed consistently. Maybe he's part of the Don Callis family. I've seen that said before. Maybe, but like, is he just a background player? There's a whole lot of other people that aren't on TV at the moment. Josh Alexander on the main roster might not have a very long shelf life in WWE, but in a team with Ethan Page, I think that could work. They might have higher plans for Ethan Page, though, on his own, so I'm not really sure that's what they're going for. I was hoping Josh would go to WWE, but he could do well in AEW. He's an amazing wrestler. That's a better fit for AEW, but I'm just saying I feel like WWE was the more likely option just because I feel like in the men's division in NXT right now, he would be great. The main roster, I'm not so sure about. But reportedly, he went to the highest bidder. AEW was willing to offer him more money, and he probably wouldn't have to move. If he went to NXT, I don't think he lives in Florida. He might still live in Canada, I'm not sure. He would have to move to Orlando to be in NXT, which he probably does not want to do. He has a family. He has to uproot them. Going to AEW, honestly, just makes more sense. He can always go to WWE down the road if they're interested. Right now, financially, I feel like him going to AEW is probably the right route to go. Chris Faplander in the chat said Josh will be lost in the sauce in AEW. That's what I fear. I mean, he'll be lost in the sauce regardless of the company. I just feel like he has a less of a chance of getting lost in the sauce, as you said, in NXT especially. Maybe the main roster. But if he becomes a big enough star in NXT, he could do well on the main roster. Who knows? And follow in like Chad Gable's footsteps. He'll never be a world champion in WWE. He probably won't be a world champion in AEW either. I just feel like he would probably have the Ethan Page route in AEW of being a consistent tag team guy or mid-card guy that never really wins anything, but also have a good, I'll wrap up in a second. I gotta like clear out my sinuses. Of never really winning anything whenever it matters most. So that's why I kind of worry for him in AEW. Yes, what a name, Chris. I agree, Abusika. Grunt said, I find Jay winning more funny than maddening. Maybe I would feel different if I was watching WWE regularly. Mainly an AEW guy these days. Average Grunt says. I mean, it's funny. I mean, the fact that he won, it's like, wow, they actually fucking did it. I'm not upset about it because, again, he's over, so people like the guy, so it's not really that big of a deal. At Iwagu91 also asked randomly your thoughts on Connor the Crusher. I mean, that's a name that I haven't really thought about in 10 years, but I will say this, that whole Connor's Cure thing, whenever they would air that commercial during the house shows and live shows that I would go to for WWE 10 years ago as part of the Cancer Foundation thing, it would get to me every single time. It was a very emotional commercial, Daniel Bryan's role in the whole thing, because they showed on WWE TV as well before he passed, so it was a very sad situation, and hopefully the dad's still doing well. I don't know if they've shown the dad recently in recent years. I don't know if he still follows the product, but they would typically bring him around and do the Connor the Crusher award thing, or that was the Warrior award, which they gave to Connor. Hopefully the dad's doing well. And last question, do you see Roxanne Perez and Bayley facing off at WrestleMania? Yes, I know. Another Roxanne Perez question, because he does ask a lot of Roxanne Perez questions. No, I don't. I think Roxanne and Bayley might have a match at Stand and Deliver. I don't know. Bayley's tweet the other day made it sound like she's done in NXT. So I'm not really sure. I would love to see it at Mania. I feel like it's more likely they do it before Mania, after Mania. I just don't see them finding a spot for them at Mania. I feel like they can get a bigger spotlight if they do it at Stand and Deliver. But Roxanne might be done in NXT, so I'm not really sure. We'll find out tonight. If Roxanne's on the show, it happens at Stand and Deliver. But if she's not at NXT tonight and she's not on next week and they kind of keep her on Raw, because she already qualified for Elimination Chamber, so she might not be in NXT anyway. I don't know. If she's not on NXT for the next couple of weeks, that match is probably happening on Raw. I just don't see it happening at Mania. It should. I'm just not confident that it will. They have never really done a proper singles women's match at Mania that didn't have some sort of stupid stipulation like bras and panties or nightgown match or cat fight. Usually it's always been a title match or a 6-woman tag or a fatal 4-way or whatever. They've never done a regular women's singles match at Mania without a championship on the line. That wasn't some bullshit gimmick stuff or a tag team match. So I would definitely do a singles match with those two at Mania. I'm just not confident that it's going to happen. Super Pony said Jay winning a world title before Sammy doesn't feel right to me. I mean, I can get that, but I still feel if Sammy never won a world championship, I would feel that way. But I think Sammy will still win a world championship at some point, so I can't get too upset. But at least Jay's over. So, and he has that connection with the audience, so at least he has that going for him, even if you don't like him in the ring. We'll see where it goes. And Jay winning the world title makes sense. I don't think he should be the champion for like 6 months. I've said that before. I don't see Jay as a perennial main eventer. I just don't. I feel like he's more upper mid-card. Chris said, Daniel Bryan lost his dad and Connor so close to each other after winning the championship. Yeah, he did. That was a heartbreaking month. He lost his dad. The Warrior passing happened around that time, and I think he was a Warrior fan. I mean, that was like the least of his concerns, but like the Warrior thing happened. His dad passed, Connor passed, who he was close with, and he also got hurt and couldn't defend the championship. So he went from like having the best month ever between winning the championship, headlining WrestleMania, getting married, and then all of that other stuff happening. Just a complete night and day difference, which was crazy. Abu Sika said, Roxanne coming out to Bailey's old gear / music was great. That was great on NXT last week. I love that old music, so hearing that again on NXT last week popped me. Richie said, I have returned. Needed to stretch my legs. Also order lunch, LOL. I need to do the same thing, actually, so we'll wrap up here in a minute. He also asked, did I miss any more Ava slander? You did not, my good sir. You did not. All the Ava slander, I think, peaked earlier when we were going at it a little bit earlier on. So I got to go back and check out where you guys broke me, because I got to send that clip to Alexis if she's not already watching, which I don't think she is in the moment, because she did text me something separate. She would have told me if she was watching in the moment. She's not currently. I don't think so. I got to tell her that I broke during that Ava slander earlier on in the stream. But I'm serious, though. I said this earlier on Saturday. On Thursday's WrestleRant Radio, so tune back in for that on Thursday, probably early on in the morning. Oh, my God, Alexis is here now. She said, hey, I've been busy with work. So she's joining now. Alexis, listen. I'll text you back in a second, but if you have a second, we're about to end the stream. Go back, maybe about 2 hours, an hour and a half. This has been a very long stream, longest episode of hashtag AskGSM ever. But go back and listen to the slander of Ava here in the chat that Dylan contributed to, Nick, Richie, everyone else. It was fucking hilarious. So that's been the highlight of this episode. But it's been a great episode. Regardless, she comes in just as we wind down. We're about to close out here. But I said earlier, next time we'll be live is on Thursday for WrestleRant Radio, breaking down all the news of the week, talking maybe some Grand Slam thoughts, Vengeance Day thoughts on Raw, anything else happening in the world of wrestling in the last week will be discussed on WrestleRant Radio on Thursday with Mr. Marceau. We'll probably be live earlier in the morning on Thursday, if not around 11 or 12. So just keep the notification button on to be notified every single time we go live here on the channel and every time we upload a new video. Nick said, we are 4 roots, 1 tree. Also, hi, Alexis. Alexis won't understand the reference, but after she listens to it, she'll get it. Richie said, so she can play the credits. Is going to live rent-free in my head for the rest of my life. Yeah, me too. That line was fucking hysterical. You're not going to get it until you go back and listen to what they had to say. What Richie and Nick and everyone else sent to me during the chat when we were bashing Ava, you'll appreciate what Nick just said or what Richie just said, that what Nick said earlier on. You'll appreciate it after you listen to the Ava slander from earlier on in the stream. But I'm serious, though. On Thursday's WrestleRant Radio, on Saturday, we might get back together sometime in the morning, and I can watch Ava Rain clips here on the channel, and we can all react together. So if that's something you guys want to see, let me know. Drop a comment, and we can do that on Saturday. Reacting to Ava Rain YouTube clips. Might not be a long stream, but we can bullshit, and we can joke about that shit here on the stream, probably on Saturday. But again, like I said, live before that on Thursday, and even before that tomorrow here on the channel. I said this at the top of the video. We're going to be putting up my interview with The Undertaker, one-on-one with The Undertaker, talking LFG, his thoughts on today's WWE wrestling landscape, what's missing, why he hates the internet, the closest he came to coming out of retirement. A lot of good topics coming up tomorrow here on the channel. I'll put it in the community tab for those that did not see this on the video today or did not hear me talk about it earlier. So please check out that interview. Also, the article version of that I'll put in the description for that video. That's going to be going up on Bleacher Report tomorrow morning, so be sure to check that out. But I think that's about it. If you guys want to send in a question to the show any single week, you can join us live in the chat. Obviously, we've gone almost 4 hours talking to you guys in the chat. But if you want to send in a question ahead of time to also be answered here on the show, if you can't make it live, you can tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment I usually put up on Tuesday nights, or rather Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. Nick said today was a funny one. Alexis said, I'm going to rewind this after it's over. I can't wait. Daniel said the Ava slander was goated. That will go down if I were to do a highlight reel of best moments on the stream so far in 2025. That would be at the top of the list. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that Ava is not great. And I'm glad we all can kind of agree to that general consensus that Ava is not a great GM. Richie said, turn on the notifications for Graham versus The Undertaker. Nick said, hell yeah, great show as always. See you next time and this week. And we look forward to it, Nick. We look forward to seeing Lindsay as well. We look forward to that. And I'll see all you guys here on the stream on Thursday. So until then, have an awesome rest of your Tuesday. Thank you so much for supporting, liking the video, sharing the video, subscribing to the channel, and also hitting the bell button every time for when we upload a new video and go live. That support is greatly appreciated. But like I said, folks, thanks so much. Have an awesome one. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. We'll catch your ass down the road.